Someone make it make sense.
Probably a couple.
So guys, for some of y'all who are newer to this case and just were hanging out over the weekend and maybe haven't seen any of this trial that's happening right now, y'all are going to get to see Lori Vallow represent herself in her own defense in the flesh here. And it is something else. And by the way, let me pull up my ticker because thus far, she has elicited, oops, sorry, that's never have I ever. Hold on. Here we go. She has elicited 93 objections from the state. So what that means is she's ever closer to reaching 100 objections, and we are only entering day 5 of this trial. So she's representing herself pro se, and as you can see, Lori has objected 7 times. So that's why we're keeping track. So this is exactly what court just came back. So here we go.
The Wednesday of their annual conferences for the second trial. Is that something that we can sort of hammer down the schedule on for the next trial?
Are you in California, Beckwood? Remind me where you're at.
No, June. June.
What happens at 100? It might be a record, to be honest.
The judicial conference,
maybe with the exception of like a year-long trial.
I'm talking about June 25th.
It's just insane because we've kept track of objections for other cases, and like it's got to be a record for the most objections in the shortest amount of time. I mean, for real, it's crazy. So I don't know what will happen. We'll find out. Maybe we'll all turn into zombies.
And I don't know what happened last time, but I think advisory council took the remote questionnaires that the jurors answered. Did you take them to the jail and go over them in advance, or you didn't? You did. That's a yes. Okay.
You're having earthquake.
So
stay safe.
The remote questionnaire would be similar to the one we did for this trial. It would go out the week of probably May 19th.
All right. There's Lori, guys. For anyone who's there, she is. Can you see my mouse in the blue blazer with the curly blonde hair? There she is, playing lawyer.
And we can set the cutoff date, maybe the 23rd, to give the parties a chance to go over it, and then we would meet.
Yikes!
To go over those remote answers on May 29th.
I wonder if they lost power or internet.
And
probably.
Bring in the walk-in jurors and in-person follow-up voir dire for May 30th, and anticipate opening statements and starting the evidence on Monday, June 2nd.
So they're talking about the logistics for her next trial, which is the attempted murder of Brandon Boudreaux.
I'd like to go June 2nd through Friday the 6th. I'd like to go June 9th.
Which she is also still representing herself.
Into the noon hour, the 13th. So 2 full weeks there. The next week will be dark.
That means
no 3 days, June 23rd through 25th. Funny
though, they say dark. Somebody else commented on that in a pretrial hearing, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. Like the dark thing, because like, their whole thing, but they mean no court, but it's really funny. Usually they don't call it that. Like I've never heard that before. They don't usually, like, this is an Arizona specific thing apparently, or it could just be even just specific to this particular judge, but ironic, right?
And then June 30th through June 3rd. That's over 3 full weeks of trial. I think depending on how much longer this trial lasts, we'll be able to tell if that will be enough time or not. So I'm just putting that out there for planning purposes for everyone. Is our juror here yet? Yeah.
I know for March 20th, you said the afternoon. Should I recommend the morning just because we have 3? You're going to.
Which date?
Welcome, Happy Annie. You've heard it before.
Not March, May.
May 29th, sorry. Could we go in the morning to get 300? I know we took most of the morning for this route, but for 200 or 160, I just think we only do it in the afternoon.
Here's my issue: is I was scheduled to be out of state, and I'm actually going to fly back early that morning to get this done. So we can start at 12:30 or something like that, but I don't think I can get back early enough.
Oh, dude, there's Colby, y'all. Hang on. So Colby initially wasn't going to be attending this trial. Okay. And he went on day 4. I think he was there mostly to support Adam, but also like apparently he was having trouble focusing. Colby is Lori's surviving son for anyone who's not as familiar. Can y'all see my mouse? That's Colby right there. That's called the back of Colby's head. That is Colby. There he is.
There may be additional
Wow.
publicity issues.
I have to say, I think it's really amazing that he is doing this. When initially he didn't think he could even go for one day, but he's going to like force himself to go for one day, and he went for one day, and he decided it was important enough to go for the rest of trial. Like, I mean, you know, it's an important thing when you don't lose the ability to surprise yourself, I'll say.
As a result of this trial, but I still think
Please.
300 jurors would be enough. Does the state want to weigh in on that?
Yeah.
All right. Does the defendant want to weigh in on any of that?
I agree.
Okay. Is there a juror here? All right. Our juror's here, so let's get started. We'll bring in the jury.
All right, for the jury.
Hang on, I gotta do something.
Bring the jury.
Okay. And now we'll just scoot to the first witness of the day.
You're going to stand right in front here and be sworn in.
All right, here we go. So what I will be doing is putting in the chat who the witness is.
Walk around the court reporter, have a seat to my left.
Good morning. Hi, my name is Derek Bumgarner. I am a medical examiner at the Maricopa County.
Oh
Medical Examiner's
boy.
Office. So I perform autopsies. I determine cause and manner of death for individuals
The ME. All right,
who
let's
die
go.
under our jurisdiction in Maricopa County.
Did he spell his name? Hold on. He didn't spell it, I don't think.
I am a medical examiner. Good morning. Hi, my name is Derek Bumgarner. I am a medical examiner at the Maricopa
guess.
County Medical
Spelling.
Examiner's Office. So I perform autopsies. I determine cause and manner of death for individuals who die under our jurisdiction in Maricopa County, run toxicology reports, and like today, testify in court occasionally.
Can you tell us about your education to become a medical examiner?
Sure. I completed a Bachelor of Arts degree
they
in
spelled it
American
differently.
History at the University of Arizona in 2005. In 2013, I got my Doctor of Medicine degree from the University of Illinois in Chicago. From 2013 to 2017, I did an anatomic and clinical pathology residency at Loyola University Medical Center. And then I did a forensic pathology fellowship in Denver from 2017 to 2018.
And when did you start working here at the Maricopa County Medical Center?
I started in July of 2018.
Have fun at work,
Are
Annie.
you board certified in any areas?
Yes,
Can you tell us what areas?
I am board certified in anatomic pathology, clinical pathology, and forensic pathology.
What is board certification?
So board certification happened.
We're gonna go ahead a little bit because we know.
Monday.
We are well aware.
Technology is more bodily fluids that are in regulation compliance. The cause and
Training.
Okay.
yes,
That's something you do annually.
yes.
So you told us that you perform autopsies. Can you tell us what that is? What is an autopsy?
So an autopsy is an examination of
Oh yeah, Denise. I hope Denise is okay. We have a lot of California squirrel friends,
yes.
y'all.
And are there also photographs?
I mean, Spencer was here. Spencer, are you still listening? Are you okay? Dude, Candace.
Visual observations as well as any relevant internal injuries that you know during the autopsy.
Yes.
Okay.
Good morning.
I did.
And was that associated with the OME case number 19-05897?
It was.
You told us that were photographs taken sort of throughout the process of your autopsy, correct?
Correct.
And if I can have my paralegal bring up to the witness 152 through 179 that have previously been shown to defendant. did and that we see in all these
Wow.
photographs.
Yes.
When you were first beginning this autopsy, do you take measurements of the height and weight of Charles Vallow?
Yes,
In this case, did you note those in your report?
I did.
Do you recall that information off the top of your head right now?
I do.
What was his height and weight?
Height was 71.5 inches. Weight was 207 pounds.
So just under 6 feet tall?
Yes.
As you were doing an external review of Charles, did you note any injuries to the front of his face?
No,
Did you look at the back of his head?
I did.
Did you note any abrasions or contusions?
No.
Can you tell us, what does abrasion mean?
An abrasion is a scrape that takes off the top layer of skin.
And a
The thing is, we can expect this cross examination to be really interesting because Lori does not know anything, right? You know, we heard this with some of the other witnesses that are more akin to experts. They've not had any experts yet, but you know, for example, the detective when it came to the firearms, I mean, she does not know anything. So sometimes her questions are like, "I don't understand. Please help me understand these things." And it's like, dude, this is just not how it usually goes. It'll be interesting to see how she goes about this line of questioning. Oh, Spencer, thank you for weighing in. Nothing felt here as far as a quake. Okay. Well, we're glad to hear that. Thank you, Spencer, for letting us know that you're doing okay. A remix? I don't know what that means.
contusion?
It's otherwise known as a bruise. It's a
Something
breaking of
bruised,
blood vessels that causes blood to pool underneath the skin and in the soft tissues.
So if we have seen photos of Charles Vallow laying supine on the floor of the residence, did you note any abrasions or contusions at the back of his head that would have been consistent with him being shot and falling straight back?
No.
I just wanted to
Put up
reiterate,
one-
again, it's also familiar. Remember, Alex and Lori, their story at the time was self-defense. So why does it matter which side he's lying on? Well, if he was shot in the back and found face down, right, supine, well, that's very different, right? Because you have to think about we know their story's not true, but just to go through it, right? Like they'd have more of a chance if he was on his back because he was coming towards them, right? In which case, then you would maybe have a better case for yourself with self-defense. But he was found face down. So
53. As you were looking at Mr. Vallow, were you looking for abrasions on any other aspects of his body?
Yes.
Did you note any on his chest area?
Yes.
Where did you note those?
On the sternal chest and on the left abdomen.
well, hang on. I got that. So supine is face upward. Hold on. But she said, hold on, let me back it up. I thought she said the opposite.
I'm going to put up 153. As you were looking at Mr. Vallow, were you looking for abrasions on any other aspects of his body?
Yes.
Did you note any on his chest area?
Yes.
Where did you note those?
On the sternal chest and on the left abdomen.
So again, we're not seeing the picture, so it makes it a little bit hard. I think what's going on here is because they're looking at the autopsy photos. So he would have been positioned a certain way, and this would not necessarily be how he was found. So that's what the supine, I am imagining they're referencing how he was found, right? Face up. So that does give them a little bit more room. However, we do know that Alex was told to turn him over and start trying to perform CPR. So there's that as well.
And so external chest, can you point out to us where that is?
The sternal chest is sort of right in the middle of the chest.
So we're talking in this area, and I'm going to pull it in closer. So if we see this wound here, where are we talking in relation to that?
So surrounding the defect.
Okay. Were you able to make any determinations as to whether those contusions or those abrasions actually were made at or near the time of his death?
Yes,
And what was your conclusion?
that they were perimortem or just around the time of death.
Put up some photographs of Mr. Vallow's hands.
They're going to be talking about whether this
Do
defensive
you look
wounds.
to an individual's hands to see if there are any injuries on those?
Yes, yes, we do.
Standard for your autopsy procedure.
Yes.
Pull this back out again. What do we see here in Exhibit 155?
They may
Looks
show
to
us-
be one of Mr. Vallow's hands.
And as we look at 156 and 157, would that be consistent then with his right hand?
Yes.
And did you note any abrasions to his right hand?
Not that I recall.
159, 158. Did you note a little bit of abrasion on his left hand
Yes, I did.
and a little bit more here in his fingers?
Yes.
On this hand that we see in 160, did you note any blood transfer onto his left hand?
Yes, there was apparent blood on his left hand.
When you were looking at the other portions of his hands, did you note any other blood on those?
No.
And again, 161 and 162, other portions of his hand, no other abrasions or contusions were observed,
No.
and no other blood transfer on those.
No.
Mr. Vallow was wearing a watch at the time, correct?
He was.
When the medical examiner is called out to a scene, do you go out there?
I do not.
Is someone from your office sent out there?
They are.
And our police basically told, to the extent possible, do not touch the body until someone from the medical examiner arrives?
Correct.
So when someone arrives at the medical examiner's office, are they still wearing whatever clothes they have on?
Typically, yes.
And if they have any jewelry or affects on, those are typically left on them as well?
Correct.
So in 163, is that a photograph then of the watch that he was wearing?
Yes.
Did you note any damage to that watch, cracked face or anything like that?
I did not know.
Put up Exhibit 154, just so it orients better. What are we seeing here?
These are Mr. Vallow's lower extremities.
And did you note any abrasions or contusions on his legs?
Yes.
Where did you note those?
On both knees.
Were you able to make any determination as to whether or not those occurred at or near the time of death?
They appear to be perimortem as well.
I'm gonna put up Exhibit 164. As you're visually looking at Mr. Vallow's body, did you observe a defect to his chest?
I did.
Is that what we see here in Exhibit 164?
Yes.
What did you note that was?
An entrance gunshot wound.
And 165, is that a closer up of that?
It is.
And 166, is that again another close up of that?
Yes.
How do you know that that was an entrance wound?
It has characteristics consistent with an entrance wound. It is oval in shape. It also has a peripheral rim of abrasion. And there appears to be a punctate or small little red abrasions surrounding the wound as well.
All right, so when you are looking at gunshot wounds, are you trying to always determine if it's an entrance or an exit wound?
Yes.
And so you're looking for things that are normal and consistent throughout all entrance wounds?
Yes.
And in this case, you also noted something about some red abrasions around the edge. What is that?
There is a red abrasion around the defect or the hole. And it's a little bit eccentric on, if you think of it as a clock face, from about the 8 o'clock to 12 o'clock positions. That indicates that the projectile was coming in at an angle, and it kind of scrapes away the skin as it enters. There are also abrasions on the opposite side. They are much smaller and look almost like pinpricks. That could be consistent with what's known as stippling, which is when gunpowder strikes the skin after a gun is fired.
Can you tell us, when you're looking at an entrance wound like this and you're looking for, you said stippling, what is soot versus stippling?
Soot is combusted gunpowder, so it's like a black powder, while stippling is caused by, as I mentioned, partially burned or unburned gunpowder.
Anybody having Murdoch flashbacks? So, James, are you saying it was on YouTube? I don't even know of that. Did somebody do a remix of a song? That's interesting.
Powder that hits the skin.
Great question,
Does
Spencer.
it basically burn the skin when it hits it?
It could, but it's typically, it causes an abrasion, which is just a scraping away of the skin because it's hitting the skin at such a high velocity.
When you are looking then at this entrance wound that we see in 166 that was in the chest, you noticed what appeared to be consistent with stippling. In your report, did you use the word stippling? Do you recall?
I typically don't. I don't think I did in this case.
Did you describe what you saw
Yes.
and photograph?
Lori's going to go
Yes.
after this,
Okay.
I think.
When you are looking at the presence of stippling, does that give you any insight into the distance from the muzzle to the gunshot wound?
It does.
And can you tell us what that tells you about the distance between the muzzle and the gunshot wound?
Typically, a gun needs to be test fired to determine the exact sort of range that it will impart stippling to the skin. But if you look at textbooks for a handgun, typically the range is, you know, an inch to up to 4 or 5 feet.
The closer that the gun muzzle is to the person, does that increase the amount of stippling that you would observe?
Likely, yes.
Would that also, the closer the end of the muzzle to the person, would that increase the likelihood of seeing soot?
It would.
So here you did not see soot though.
I did not know.
So this, have you ever indicated that for this type of stippling that you observed, you believed it to be anywhere from 2 to 4 feet?
I did, yes.
And is that because there's not as dense of an amount of stippling observed at this entrance wound?
Correct.
Now, did you recover a projectile from this wound?
I did not.
So there was an exit wound associated with that,
Yes.
showing you 167. Where was the exit wound associated with this gunshot wound to the chest?
So it's on the thoracic back, which is like the middle of the back.
I'm going to put 168 up. Is that a closer up of that exit wound?
Yes.
And put up 169. Is that again closer of this?
It is.
How are you able to determine that that's an exit wound?
It has characteristics of an exit wound. Typically, exit wounds are not round like entrance wounds. They will sometimes be slit-like, as it is in this case, and typically they're a little bit larger than the entrance wound.
Now, when you are documenting injuries, do you measure the distance from the head to the entrance wound as well as the head to the exit wound?
Yes.
In this case, what was the distance from Charles's head to the entrance wound that we saw in his chest?
I believe it was 18 3/4 inches.
And can you tell us, or do you recall what the distance was from Charles's head to this exit wound on his back?
I believe it was 20 inches.
So about 1.25 inches difference.
Yes.
When you are performing an autopsy, do you advise what the wound path is?
Yes.
What do you mean by wound path?
The wound path is what the projectile encounters as it passes through the body.
What was the wound path for this gunshot wound that entered Charles's chest and exited his back?
So it passed through the skin of the chest, the sternum, which is the breastbone, the pericardium, which is a sac that surrounds the heart. It then hit 2 chambers of the heart, the right atrium and the left ventricle. And then it passed through the 9th thoracic vertebral body and exited the soft tissue and skin of the left back.
So for lay people, it went through Charles's heart.
Yes.
Was that wound immediately fatal?
Not immediately, no.
Could Charles have lived for some period of time after this?
A short period of time, but yes.
Are you able to say when someone is struck in the heart, could they live from seconds up to minutes?
Seconds up to a very few minutes, yes.
up to, have you testified previously or indicated previously in an interview that it could be up to maybe 2 minutes?
Yes,
When a person is shot in the heart such as this, could Charles have still spoken for that time period?
yes,
Could he have moved after that bullet went through
Awful.
his heart?
Absolutely
he
awful.
could have, yes,
So would it be possible for him to reach up and touch where he was shot with his left hand?
yes,
Given the abrasions to Charles's knees, is it possible that he fell to his knees after he was shot?
it's possible, yes,
Would those abrasions on his knees be consistent with someone falling to their knees?
yes.
When you are performing an autopsy, do you, well, let me first talk. As you were going through the description of the path, the wound path, you talked about the trajectory going through the 9th thoracic vertebral. Is that correct?
Yes.
I'm going to show you Exhibit 171. Can you describe for us what we are seeing here?
That is a trajectory rod passing through the defect that was created in that 9th thoracic vertebral body.
Factory rod.
So this rod that you're using is helping to show the path of that bullet through Charles's body.
Correct.
And just to orient those of us who haven't seen a person this way, can you tell us, is Charles's head up here?
It is.
And so this would be down towards his legs at the
Correct.
bottom.
Yes.
When you are talking about the injuries to an individual, do you also determine the trajectory of that bullet through the individual?
I do. Yes.
So for this wound to Charles's chest that exited his back, what was the trajectory?
It was front to back, right to left, and slightly downward.
How are you determining that trajectory? Is there a modem that you use that's standard for all autopsies?
Yes, through measurements of the entrance wound and exit wound, and then also observing what organs and tissue have damage from the bullet.
So let me go back to Exhibit 164. You're looking at this entrance wound here, correct?
Yes.
And the exit wound that we see in 168 to determine that front to back, and then you said right to left and slightly downward?
Yes.
So the downward is the 1 1/4 inch difference that you saw from the head measurement.
Correct.
Could that downward angle be the result of someone just holding a gun at a slightly downward angle?
Yes, that's possible.
Could it be also from just the arm itself moving up or down some,
Yes.
or size difference between people?
Yes.
You're not here because to tell us which one of those it was, correct?
I can't determine that, no.
As you were performing the autopsy of Mr. Vallow, did you note another gunshot wound to Mr. Vallow?
I did, yes.
And I'm putting up Exhibit 172. Where was the other gunshot wound that you observed on Mr. Vallow?
On his left abdomen.
And do we see in 172, is that what we see sort of above and to the side of his belly button?
Yes.
Were you able to tell what we see in 172 here, whether that was an entrance or exit wound?
I was.
And what was this?
This was an entrance gunshot wound.
And again, were you following the same view of looking at all the same aspects of this wound to determine that it was an entrance wound?
Correct.
In this entrance wound, did you note any stippling?
I did not.
Any soot?
No.
So would that tell you that the individual or the muzzle of that gun was more than 4 or 5 feet away from the victim?
Most likely, yes.
Did you recover a projectile from this gunshot wound?
I did not.
So there was an exit wound associated with it.
Correct.
You put up Exhibit
I like his
175.
glasses. I will just say
Where was the exit
his
wound?
glasses are very similar to the style that one of my favorite composers, Shostakovich, wears. Which is interesting. They're a very unique style. I like those because it reminds me of Shostakovich.
It was on the back of the left shoulder.
And is that what we see in Exhibit 175 here?
Correct.
I'm going to put some closer up photographs, 176 and 177. What did you note about this exit wound?
This exit wound appears a little bit atypical. It has characteristics of a supported or a shored exit wound.
What is a shored exit wound?
A short exit wound occurs when the body is pressed up against a firm surface while the
All right.
bullet is exiting the skin.
I want to know right now, guys in the chat, who all here thinks Lori's going to ask him about the $200 bamboo shirt? And for those of you guys who missed it, on day 3 of trial, they had a detective on the stand, and Lori was asking about the shored bullet wound and the Spanx clothing or whatever. And it became kind of a meme sort of thing with her, one of many already, about how she asked about the $200. She was like, "Sir, were you aware that he was wearing a $200 bamboo shirt?" And then it became a joke of like bamboo was the new Kevlar or whatever. How much you guys want to bet? Do y'all think she's going to ask this dude about the same? I would imagine she will. I'm very excited for Cross. I'll just say.
Does that cause sort of this different tearing that we see going on here in that exit wound?
It does.
If a person was, for instance, laying on the floor when they were shot, would you expect to see a short exit wound in that situation?
I would.
When you're talking about something pressed up against the skin, have you ever seen a short wound from someone wearing a t-shirt?
I have not.
Have you seen other short wounds in your experience?
I have, yes.
Approximately how many have you seen in your years of working?
I mean, they're relatively rare, so maybe less than 50.
When you were looking at this exit wound on Charles Vallow's left shoulder, was the injury itself what you would call sort of a typical short wound?
This is textbook worthy.
Now, just like the other wound, did you determine the wound path for this gunshot wound that entered Charles Vallow's abdomen and exited his left shoulder?
Yes.
What was the wound path for this shot?
So the bullet passed through the skin and soft tissues of the left abdomen. It then hit the left lung. It then hit the back part of the left fourth rib, and then exited the soft tissue and skin of the left shoulder.
So to be clear, the left fourth rib, is that in the front of him or his back? Where is that located?
In this case, it struck the posterior or the back part of the left fourth rib.
Is that sort of in the location where we see the exit wound right there?
The exit wound is a little bit above the fourth rib.
You talked about sort of the soft tissue. So when this bullet was exiting, did it sort of hit both the rib and the connective tissue between the ribs?
Yes.
Did you also measure the distance from Charles's head to the entrance wound on the abdomen?
I did.
What was that distance?
I believe it was 27 inches.
And did you measure the distance from the top of Charles's head to the exit wound on his left shoulder?
I did.
What was that?
I believe it was 14 inches.
So the prior shot had a 1 1/4 inch difference. Was this one 13 inches?
Yes.
So more than a foot difference between the entrance and exit.
Correct.
Did you determine the trajectory for this wound?
I did.
What was that trajectory?
In this case, it was front to back, right to left, and upward.
Did you also use trajectory rods in this wound to help better describe that trajectory?
I did.
Put up Exhibit 179. Can you orient us first on what we're seeing here?
So the placard with the case number is positioned towards the head, and then the opposite is positioned towards the feet.
When you perform an autopsy, how do you open up the individual?
It's called a thoracoabdominal incision. You've probably seen it on TV as the Y incision.
So what
Has
we
anyone
see
seen that on TV?
here,
I haven't.
is that sort of the abdomen of Mr. Vallow?
Yes,
I don't watch TV though.
And what we see here is that his back.
yes,
And is this the spine?
yes,
So does this reflect then the entrance being down at this portion of the body and the exit in that up left shoulder?
yes.
So in this case, were both gunshot wounds front to back?
They were.
Were both gunshot wounds right to left?
Yes,
The gunshot wound to Charles's chest was slightly downward,
correct.
and the gunshot wound to Charles's abdomen was upward.
Yes,
The gunshot wound to Charles's chest that exited his back was not shored,
no, it was not.
but the gunshot wound that entered Charles's abdomen and exited his left shoulder was shored.
Correct.
Doctor, given the trajectory that you observed, that from the gunshot wound to Charles's abdomen that exited his left shoulder, and the fact that the gunshot wound was
Cause manner of
shored,
death. Here we go.
would that be consistent with the shooter standing somewhere near Mr. Vallow's feet and firing at Charles Vallow as he was laying on the floor?
There you go.
Yes, that's certainly possible.
No, not self-defense, if that's the case. Now, I will
Now,
say,
you told us
he said it's certainly possible, right? If you're Lori, right, or if you're a defense attorney, these are the little moments you're gonna grab, because it's certainly possible, right? Is not the same as it's the only way it could have happened, right?
that you don't go out to the scene, right?
I do not know.
So you would not have seen
That's
if there were
all
any
that means.
defects on the floor consistent with a bullet strike underneath Mr. Vallow.
I did not.
If you were advised that there was a defect on the floor that was consistent with a bullet strike underneath Charles Vallow's left shoulder, would that further support the theory that he was laying on the floor there, causing that shored wound when he was shot?
It would, yes.
When an autopsy is performed on anyone, is blood collected to be tested for toxicology?
If we can get it, yes,
Was that done here?
it was.
Were there any drugs found in Charles Vallow's system?
No drugs were reported positive on toxicology.
No alcohol found?
No.
Based upon your autopsy of Leland Charles Anthony Vallow, what did you determine was the cause of death?
Multiple gunshot wounds.
Thank you. The state has no other questions.
Wow, that was quick. All right, on to cross, guys. Get ready. This is going to be interesting. Cross, cross, cross. Let me update the thing. Y'all, now's the chance to perk up if you were not perky, which is understandable. But now it's Lori's turn, guys. Are you ready? You ready? I'm not ready.
Dr. Bumgarner, you did a toxicology report in this case.
I sent blood for toxicology, yes.
And what did you test for? What substances did you test for in that toxicology report?
There are 16 or 20 substances that are tested. Typical drugs of abuse, a limited amount of therapeutic medications, and then alcohol, methanol, acetone, and isopropanol, I believe.
But not generally like someone's regular medications, like for high blood pressure or something like that?
That would not show up on this test, no.
And if someone was taking testosterone, that wouldn't show up on there?
It would not,
Fucking
no.
hell, Lori.
Human growth hormone would not show up on there?
Oh
No.
my God. I can't believe the state's not objecting. She's implying, dude, there is no evidence. Objection, facts, not evidence. There is no evidence that he was taking human growth hormone, or testosterone. Holy shit. Oh my God. Oh my God.
So just basically the substances that you mentioned
Yes,
are typically tested. And then if law enforcement were to ask you to test for something specific, then you would do that as well. Is that correct?
it depends.
On what?
The case type, what their request was, if it's even possible.
Okay. So if they were to say, we want you to test for a certain something, you would say if you could or couldn't?
Probably, yes.
Okay. And is that typical in your experience
Is what typical?
for them to ask for things other than what you normally, the normal 16 things that you test for?
That would be atypical.
Okay. So normally they don't ask you to do that in a common manner.
They do not know.
Okay. And so in this case, you did just test for the typical things and no other requests were made. Is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
As far as the abrasions on Charles' knees, could those have been, you said that they were consistent with having been close to the time of death, is that correct?
They had that general appearance, yes.
And so those abrasions could have been caused by a scuffle before he was shot, is that correct?
Oh Lord.
Yes,
And not necessarily falling forward onto his knees.
correct.
And then the abrasions on his hands as well,
What about them?
that they could have been caused from a scuffle beforehand.
Yes.
Okay.
Could have been a scuffle. I will
I
say,
know that this,
this is my favorite of her different blazers. I do think that the like cinched waist helps to sort of hide the shock vest thing that she has to wear.
they asked you if it was consistent with him
Candace weighing in
with the
bamboo again.
second shot.
Candace, hey, Candace, are you? We've got another California squirrel. Candace, are you okay? Let us know. We haven't gotten to the bamboo again yet. It'll be interesting.
The shot to the abdomen, that it was possible that he could have been shot on the floor. Is that correct?
Correct.
But would it also be possible that he could have been falling when that shot happened as well? And then hit the floor?
Not really. If he was falling and still passing through air, not yet having hit the ground, that would not have caused a short wound.
So if he had hit the ground
Here we go,
and
guys.
bounced on the ground
Candace.
from the first shot, as the second shot was traveling, that could not be possible that he hit the ground when that shot was exiting the shoulder?
He would have had to have been on a firm surface
Okay, here we go.
to
Bamboo.
create that short wound.
And it could not be caused by tight clothing?
There it. Oh God, we're so close.
Tight clothing and short wounds is
Oh, God.
typically like a supportive garment, like a belt or a bra. In my experience, I've never seen it with like a t-shirt or anything like that.
Are you familiar with bamboo clothing?
Oh my
I
God,
am not, no.
y'all. Here we go.
Or how tough that material would be?
I am not.
Lori, if you don't mention the $200, we're going to be disappointed.
Okay.
Does she know people were making fun of her last time? Maybe.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Oh, wow.
Redirect.
Interesting. All right. Redirect. She must have
Doctor, if
feedback about that. I want.
clothing like a t-shirt, bamboo, or whatever they're made of, would have caused a short wound, would you have expected to see the short wound also to the other exit?
Certainly if both the exits were covered with that shirt, yes.
So if the person is wearing a t-shirt that covered his back and shoulder,
Yes.
then if that type of fabric somehow was restrictive enough or tight enough or stiff enough to cause that pressure, then it would have caused a shored wound to both exits.
I would expect that, yes.
But you didn't see that
enough.
here.
Stiffen up.
Only one shored wound.
Correct.
The other exit, not at all.
No.
You were asked a lot about different drugs. Was there anything about
Thank
Mr.
you for
Vallow's
following up on
autopsy
this.
that indicated that his cause of death was anything other than the result of multiple gunshot wounds?
No.
Thank you. No other questions?
All right. Bam. Done.
Are there any questions for this witness from a member of the jury? I do see at
So
least
for-
one question.
Yay. So for anyone who didn't know this, the jury gets to ask questions. We had no objections at all for this witness. There's one question from the jury. So we love jury questions. Very festive. We can probably go live.
Significant amounts of blood in
Okay.
the left.
Back a little bit to the beginning of the question. Okay, jury questions. Interesting. Right, Spencer, dude. Oh, she really fought the bamboo. She must have gotten some feedback. She fought the other dude really hard with the bamboo on day
Were
3.
there significant amounts of blood in the left lung?
Not the left lung itself, but the left chest cavity.
Does that suggest the heart was still beating during the second wound or the second shot?
So remember, we've had some questions thus far that have indicated to me there is somebody on this jury that is either an EMT, but my money is actually on emergency room doctor. My money's on an emergency room doctor. Could be an EMT, but maybe an emergency room doctor. And they've been asking some really good questions. So that's probably the same person.
The heart could have been beating at that point. It's also possible that the heart was still and contained blood, and that blood just spilled into the left chest cavity.
Was there blood in the throat or mouth?
There was not.
Any other juror questions? Not seeing any follow-up from the defense based on that jury question
No, Your Honor.
from the state.
We're asked about the blood potentially in the lung versus the cavity. When someone is struck in the heart through the different locations that we saw in Mr. Vallow, where do you expect the blood to go after that gunshot wound?
The left chest cavity.
And you talked about that the heart could have been beating at that time, or the blood could have spilled into the cavity. Can you explain that a little more?
Sure. If the heart was still beating, blood would have been pumping through it, and blood would have been spilling from the 2 defects in the heart, one in the right atrium and one in the left ventricle. It's also possible that the heart was either fibrillating, which is not really beating, just sort of quivering, which often happens right before death, or potentially the heart was still, but blood that was in it at the time that death occurred would spill out of those 2 defects I just described.
In any of those situations, would you expect ultimately the blood to end up in that left cavity?
Yes.
That's what you saw.
Yes.
You were also asked about blood in the throat or mouth. Does the absence of that indicate that the victim was or was not alive for some period of time after being shot in the heart?
No.
Thank you. Other questions?
All
Okay.
right, sir, you can step down.
Thank you.
Right.
Can call
Next
us next
witness. So because the likelihood, so Spencer asked a good question, how could I know it's the same person? The likelihood of having, for example, 2 MDs on the jury, it could happen, but it would be rare, right? Just the odds of that would be pretty rare. Could happen, but generally what I've seen in trials is where I mean, it's very uncommon, right, for jury questions, first of all. But when you do have jury questions and they read them aloud, you can get a feel for when you've got jurors of certain professions, because a certain profession will ask a certain question to a certain witness about certain things and use certain terminology. And it's like, probably that's what that person does. And then there's like a different category of specialty that someone else can understand. You're just confused about questions. So yeah, so again, this is varies by jurisdiction. It's not very common. I think all courts should allow it. But the way that it works is that the jurors submit their questions anonymously. And one of the reasons why jury questions are great is because it gives you, first of all, it gives you an insight into what the jury is thinking, right? What is it that matters to them? Second of all, there's times where a question wouldn't be admissible under direct or cross-examination to a witness. But if the jury asks the question, sometimes it comes in. So what happens is when the jurors submit their questions, they go to sidebar and they talk about it and they decide what can come in. Sometimes it's just decided that the questions need to be reworded, or maybe they can ask part of a question, but not the entire question. A great example of this is in the Kowalski v. J. Hatch trial, civil trial in Florida, because we actually got to hear the sidebars where they were discussing the jury questions, and that jury was very involved. And like, I think almost every juror on that jury asked questions, and they asked a lot of questions, and they would go to sidebar for sometimes 45 minutes or an hour discussing and really fighting over these jury questions. It was very interesting. And it became a whole thing where we got to learn. I mean, it's like, I felt like we knew these jurors inside and out. Like because their questions were so detailed and everybody was asking them, you could figure out this person's does this thing and this one does this. Now that's not normal. You don't usually have jurors that are that involved, although I thought it was great. Anyway, so it basically gives you insight into what the jurors are thinking. What is important to them? What do they feel like was left out of the testimony? Sometimes you'll get more information than what could generally be asked or be admissible by the attorney. So that's another benefit. You get more information from the witness, obviously. But the other thing is it can give you an idea of who's on the jury, because usually we don't know, right? Sometimes people can speculate, oh, there's somebody who's from this profession or whatever. But like, we really don't know. All I know about this jury is it's almost all men, right? I forget exactly the number of women. They've had a couple jurors that had to leave, but it's almost all men. And other than that, I don't think we know very much about the makeup. Also, though, they've been seating a jury for Karen Reed, and it's easy to get them confused. So, but I do know that for this jury, it's mostly men. And so it's interesting, right? When you're dealing with a certain case, like, for example, in the Karen Reed case, it was so interesting to learn there was an attorney on the jury, right? Imagine if there was a firearms expert on the jury, for example. You just never know. So, but usually it doesn't matter what the case is. If it's a murder case, somebody who has a medical background is going to be really valuable to the jury in their deliberations, regardless of what medical background it is. Any medical background, right, is going to help them when they're deliberating. Even if they can't ask questions, it's going to be helpful. But it's just interesting because it gives us a little sneak peek into who's on this jury, because again, after a trial, right, the jury has the right to speak out or not. And so sometimes they speak out, we learn a lot about the jury, and then other times they don't say anything and we don't really learn much at all. So it's just sort of exciting to be like, okay, there's definitely someone from a medical background, right? And over the course of the trial, we will probably be able to figure out a little bit more about who else is on this jury. So does that help to answer that question for you, Spencer, or anyone else who was wondering about how this works? So the judge is asking the question. The judge reads the question aloud. The judge reads the question. They write down the question, they pass it around, and then he reads the question aloud. And sometimes, again, not all questions will be asked. It's up to the judge, and then they consult, right? They go to sidebar with the attorneys and they decide what can come in and if it needs to be reworded or something left out or whatever the case may be. And then the judge will read the question to the witness. Isn't it cool? Yep. So jurors are usually stayed under seal. I mean, jurors' names and professions and whatnot, stay under seal. I don't know if they're really ever released, to be honest. If they are, it's by the time it happens, nobody cares. So when we usually find out the most about who's on a jury is right after a trial, if they speak out. That's what and then if they speak out 10 years from the trial, no one's going to be thinking about it, more than likely. You know what I mean? Oh, it's all good. It's all good. Wrong chat, I guess, apparently. Okay. So yeah. because the jurors, that's their whole thing. They get to be anonymous, right? And that's why they don't ever show the jury. They get to stay anonymous. That's part of they enjoy that privilege or right rather, as a juror, because that's part of the thing, right? You don't want jurors to be afraid for their safety. So that's why it is such a big deal when you can get kind of an idea. Like, we don't know who this juror is, but just with the fact that it's like, oh, it could be a doctor is like already exciting because we have no, it's just a mystery, right? What we usually get when you see the jury is how many are there, how many men, how many women, and like what are their ethnicities, and that's it. So yeah. We're bringing Serena Sharp back in. We're bringing Serena Sharp back in. Oh, holy shit. Okay. We just watched her freaking interview yesterday. And remember how we were like, wow, there was a lot that was left out. Holy shit, they're bringing her back in. This was also the friend that Lori cross-examined and was really feisty with. Oh my God. They're bringing her back in. Oh, holy shit. Holy shit. Holy shit. Really? Really?
Yeah, come right up. Come right up here.
Maybe it was a maybe it was a mistake. It's a
Oh, you're
dude.
gonna walk around the court reporter.
Court
and have a seat
TV.
to my left?
So Court TV messed up. Never mind. Not Serena Sharp.
Would you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Mark Saari. I'm a special agent with the Social Security Administration Office of Inspector General.
What do you do there?
So I investigate crimes and allegations of fraud, waste, and abuse within Social Security.
How long have you worked for
Fraud,
Social
not
Security?
frog.
Approximately 6 years.
And as an investigator with the Social Security, are you familiar with the reports that are created and kept in the normal course of business?
Yes, I am.
And for instance, are you familiar with sort of the meetings and processes and notices of award letters sent out by Social Security for survivor benefits?
Yes, I am.
The reason she's asking that question is to get around hearsay, because business records is an exception to hearsay.
What are survivor benefits?
Remember how we were talking about, guys, how like pretty much almost so much of what comes in at trial is technically hearsay, but there's an exception. Something as basic as Social Security records, right, is hearsay, right? You have to get around it with a business records exception. I mean, it's never going to be a problem. I just wanted to point it out because it's very interesting to think about how like everything, like whenever they lay that foundation right here, kept in the normal course of business, it's because it's hearsay.
The Social Security, are you familiar with the reports that are created and kept in the normal course of business?
Yes, I am.
And for instance, are you familiar with sort of the meetings and processes and notices of award letters sent out by Social Security for survivor benefits?
Yes, I am.
What are survivor benefits?
Those are benefits paid to a recipient. For example, if someone were to die or pass, their children would be possibly entitled to benefits on their behalf after they were to pass.
When a child becomes an adult, what happens to those survivor benefits that Social Security has been paying?
They would cease.
What if a child is taken to or adopted by or guardianship is given to another individual while they're receiving survivor benefits?
They would transfer to that new individual.
When a child has a parent that passes away, are any benefits paid out to the mother of the child?
Yes, they could be.
How does that depend? What makes the difference on whether or not the mother gets benefits or not?
So it's a benefit called mother, child, and care benefits. So for example, if a mother is married to her father at the time of his death, she would receive called a mother, child, and care benefit. So it'd be a dual benefit for the child as well as her benefit for herself. It'd be the same dollar amount that she would receive as well.
So if the parents were not married at the time that one of the parents passes away, then does the other parent get any survivor benefits?
They would not.
If a surviving spouse remarries, what happens to those benefits given to, say, the mother of the child?
They would then cease upon that marriage.
Would the child still get benefits?
They would.
Were you asked to look into survivor benefits involving Lori Vallow and JJ Vallow?
Yes, I was.
In your investigation, did you also become aware of benefits being provided to another child of Lori Vallow, Tylee Ryan?
Yes.
During your investigation, did you learn that starting in June of 2018, Tylee Ryan was receiving survivor benefits from Social Security for the death of her father?
Yes.
In 2019, how much was Tylee Ryan receiving?
We have approximately $18.59 per month.
So this is from Joe Ryan, dying of a heart attack, guys. Husband number 3, right? Tylee's dad was Joe Ryan. That's Tylee was receiving the Social Security benefits from his passing of the heart attack under suspicious circumstances.
Is there a representative payee for a child who is receiving Social Security benefits as survivor?
Yes, there is.
What is a representative payee?
So based upon a child being a minor, we would appoint a called representative payee. So that person would be the payee on behalf of that child. So they would have a bank account and they'd pay money from us on behalf of that child to pay for shelter, clothes, money, that sort of thing, clothes, food, that sort of thing.
So in the case of Tylee Ryan, was Lori Vallow the representative payee for Tylee Ryan?
She was.
And is in general, those benefits you said are put into a bank account that can be held by both the child and the payee?
Correct.
Now, if Lori Vallow was married in June of 2018 to someone else, not Tylee's father, would she still receive that mother of survivor benefits?
She would not.
How does a person go about applying for survivor benefits from Social Security?
So upon the passing of the recipient, say a father, they would have to go into the office or apply online, then have an appointment to confirm the details for that survivor receiving benefits on behalf of that resident.
And so that's the normal course of business, is to have someone come in eventually and speak with someone about verifying different important aspects to consider when determining whether or not to provide survivor benefits.
Correct.
During your investigation, did you become aware of Lori Vallow going to an appointment with someone from Social Security Administration related to JJ?
Yes.
When was that?
On or about August 12th, 2019.
During that meeting, did Lori Vallow have to answer questions relating to her relationship with Charles Vallow?
Yes.
Did she have to, for instance, provide the date when she and Charles Vallow were married?
Yes.
When was that?
The date of the marriage, and have to be refreshed from a document for that.
Sure.
So he's testified a lot. Refresh his recollection. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Refresh his recollection.
In 2019, was Lori Vallow questioned about whether or not she and Charles Vallow were living together at the time of his death?
She was.
And what did Lori Vallow tell Social Security on August 12th of 2019 about whether or not she and Charles Vallow were still living together at the time of his death?
She confirmed they were living together at the time of his death.
Interesting. So, okay, let me just point out why this matters, because he was shot and killed July of 2019, July 11th of 2019. And they were not living together. They were not living together. They were in different fucking states, dude. And she lied on, this is why it's fraud. This is why he's here. Fraud, 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 fraud. So she could keep getting the money, because that's the thing. They were not living together. She fucking lied. Dude, that's bad. I mean, obviously she's done a lot of bad things, but like, it takes a lot of audacity to lie for Social Security, right? Because they're always going to find that shit out.
Questioned about
Like, what
whether
type of idiot do you have to be,
or
man?
not she and Charles Vallow were
Oh my
living together
God.
at the time of his death.
It's like provable, easily provable in every fucking possible way that they were not living together. Not to mention your own statements.
She was.
Oh, Lord
And
have
what
mercy.
did Lori Vallow tell Social Security on August 12th of 2019 about whether or not she and Charles Vallow were still living together at the time of his death?
She confirmed they were living together at the time of his death.
Is that important in trying to
I'm
determine
really
survivor benefits?
surprised.
It definitely helps the agencies determine if benefits are entitled to the recipient, correct?
Now, as part of your job, sort of working for the Office of Investigations for Social Security, did you become involved in looking at these benefits that were awarded to Lori Vallow and to JJ Vallow as a result of the death of Leland Charles Vallow?
Yes.
You told us you were familiar with the notice of award letters that Social Security sends out.
Yes.
And are those letters created in the normal course of business?
Yes.
And are they created at or near the time when that person goes in to make that appointment and a decision is made to provide those survivor benefits?
Yes, correct.
If I can have my paralegal approach with 213 and 214. Do you recognize what those two exhibits are?
I do.
And are those the notice of award letter sent to Lori Vallow regarding survivor benefits for both herself and for JJ Vallow?
Yes, they are.
And those are the documents you talked about that were created in the normal course of business
Yes.
at or near the time of that decision.
Yes.
Your Honor, the state will move to admit 213 and 214.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
213, 214 are admitted.
And if I can get those so I can publish them as well, Your Honor. Hold on, please. Thank you. All right. I'll start with 213. Maybe autofocus there. Okay. So what we see here in 213 is this the letter that would be sent to Lori Vallow on behalf of Joshua Jackson Vallow, JJ Vallow.
Yes, correct.
And we see it was sent to an address in Santan Valley.
Yes.
Does this letter provide or advise how much money that Lori Vallow would receive or that JJ Vallow would receive as a result of the death of his father?
It does.
And how much would he receive as a result of the death of Charles Vallow?
It'd be $19.51 per month, and also mentions the back pay from the date of death for Charles up until that date of the letter.
Okay. So monthly, the 1951, and then a back pay of $3,902.
Correct.
Exhibit 2014. When Ms. Vallow went in on August 12th, would that be the same? During that meeting, would they have been questioning her with regards to both JJ as well as her survivor benefits?
Yes.
So this letter is from that same meeting.
Yes.
In 214 again, this one we see that it's only addressed to Lori Vallow, but at the same 1658 East Sherry Street in Santan Valley.
Yes.
And how much money was Ms. Vallow set to receive as a result of the death of Charles Vallow?
It would be $19.51 per month.
Is that the same as what JJ was getting?
Yes, it'd be mirroring the same amount that JJ was receiving. Yes, correct.
So basically, she's getting about $4,000 a month.
Approximately, yes.
Now, in these letters and the other documentation you reviewed, we see her as Lori N. Vallow, correct?
Yes.
In your investigation, did you ever learn whether or not Lori N. Vallow ever remarried and became Lori N. Daybell?
Yes.
Can you tell us in your investigation what the date of that marriage was when Lori N. Vallow became Lori N. Daybell?
November 5th, 2019.
And who did Lori Vallow marry?
Chad Daybell.
No other questions for this witness, Your Honor?
Cross.
Mr. Saari, the Social Security, as a surviving spouse, can you get benefits if you didn't have any children?
I believe so, correct? Yes.
Okay, so if you've been married for longer than 10 years, you get spousal surviving benefits. Is that correct?
There are some rules for that. I believe that is correct. I believe, yes.
And so if I had been married to my husband for 10 years and his previous wife had been married to my husband for over 10 years, she would also get that surviving spouse benefit?
What's your question again? Who's the she part? Didn't follow that part.
Okay, just a previous person who has been married to my husband previous to me for more than 10 years. I mean, that's what Social Security does, right?
I'm not sure. What is your question? I'm trying to.
Okay, sorry. So if there were two spouses to a deceased husband consecutively, and they were both each married for over 10 years to that same husband, they would both receive a spousal benefit or could apply for and receive that spousal benefit. Is that correct?
That's more of an administrative issue. I have to obviously I'm not aware of all those policies for that kind of issue. So I can't really answer yes or no to that question.
Okay. So if it was explained to me when I was at the Social Security office that I could receive that,
Hold on. I'm going to sustain the objection.
okay, but it is possible, you're just not aware of it. Is that correct?
I would have to ask an expert in our agency for administrative rules on that.
Okay, and what is your expertise at Social Security?
I'm a special agent.
And so you just investigate, is that correct?
Investigate crimes of fraud, waste, and abuse in Social Security, correct?
You investigate fraud, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, but you're not really privy to what an agent might be telling a person as they come in to get Social Security. Is that correct?
What they tell an agent, an employee, or what is your question again?
Yes. So you're not really privy to what the employees are telling the regular people that come in to the Social Security office.
I'm not there for those appointments, correct?
So you don't really understand what all benefits can be given?
We with OIG investigate crimes of fraud, waste, and abuse. So we are the experts for that. And we also have experts internally in Social Security we look to for guidance on internal rules that are more complex, if that kind of helps you out.
Okay. So you had said something about mother in care benefits. Is that correct?
Yes.
So, and it's the same dollar amount as the child in care benefits. Is that correct?
There's two benefits for the child in care and also for JJ. They're mirroring the same amount, correct?
But wouldn't the mother in care benefits be for the child?
It would be if the individual had the child in their care, correct?
Right. So, but a spousal benefit, if you've been married for over 10 years and you didn't have any children, you would still be entitled to that. Isn't that correct?
My understanding is that you have to be a certain age to get that benefit, to be a certain age to apply for that. In the situation here, due to the decedent Charles dying, there was a benefit for the child only that was receiving, as well as child in care. So only two benefits were received for the child, also child in care as well.
So my question is, how is that determined by the employee? Like if it's spousal benefit or if it's a mother in care benefit?
Lori, he doesn't know. He's not a benefit specialist.
It'd be up to the applicant to apply for the benefits.
So if you applied for the spousal benefit and they gave you the mother in care benefit instead, how would you know the difference? You just know that that was the monthly amount you were getting?
You would receive a letter in the mail. You also would be at the appointment very clearly told what you were applying for. It should not be any confusion about what you're applying for at that appointment.
Okay. So if you were told that you were getting the spousal benefit,
Yeah, it's sustained.
if an employee told a recipient that they were getting a spousal benefit,
I'll allow him to answer that hypothetical if he knows.
if an employee were to tell someone they were getting a spousal benefit and they received a letter in the mail saying it was a mother in care benefit, should they call the Social Security office and clear that up?
It would be up to the applicant if they received a letter in the mail to contact Social Security and say, hey, this is the wrong benefit I'm receiving. So it would be up to the applicant to let us know, let Social Security know the benefit is not correct.
So if the employee put it in as something other than they told the recipient, then it would just be up to the recipient to correct that. Is that correct?
Social Security goes off of information that's provided to the agency by the applicant. That makes sense. It's up to the applicant to be truthful and provide the right information to the agency.
Yeah.
So do you have a copy of my application for either of these benefits?
Oh my God.
I'd have to ask the prosecutor for that information.
Okay. Have you ever seen one to your knowledge that you remember?
Yes.
You've seen my applications?
Yes, I have.
And were they from mother in care?
It was for survivors for JJ as well as for mother child in care as well.
So the application that I filled out was not for spousal benefit. Is that what you're saying?
Well,
I'm sorry.
he can answer if he knows, if he recalls the answer.
Repeat the question, please.
I'm saying, so of the records that you saw, I did not have a spousal survivor benefit application.
The records I saw were an application for survivors benefits for JJ as well as for child in care as well. For two different benefits that you were receiving.
Okay, so is there an application for spousal benefit?
I'm only aware of the two benefits you were receiving, which was for JJ and for mother child in care.
So it could have been a mix-up of the employee. Is that what you're saying?
They would have been relying on information you would provide at that application appointment, August 12th, 2019.
And this is a filled out form application? Is that what you're saying? It's not just something you verbally give to the employee?
I believe you could do it online ahead of time, but you were present, I believe, on August 12th at the office to go through line by line, I believe, with that application.
So if I thought I was getting, if a person so in your investigation of this fraud, you have seen all of my applications, is that correct?
I reviewed any and all documents that we have in relation to JJ as well as to you receiving benefits on his behalf, correct?
And you do not recall seeing any spousal surviving benefit application, is that correct?
All that I recall seeing was once again the two applications, one for mother, child, and care, and one for JJ as well.
And isn't that a redundant benefit?
Which benefit?
The mother in child care and the child in care. Isn't that that's basically the same thing?
JJ had a benefit for himself solely,
Mhm.
then a second one to be mother, child, and care. Does that
To
make-
take care of the child.
Correct. The child has to be under your care, custody, and control during that time period. Correct.
So when you're receiving these Social Security benefits, they want them to be for the things that you stated previously, right?
Gave a few examples, but it is for the benefit of the child. Correct.
Right. And it's supposed to be spent on food and clothes, and it could be spent on an electric bill, and it can be spent on rent. They want you to utilize that money on a monthly basis. Is that correct?
Correct. Or you could also conserve it for the child as well, but that is correct.
And that they can do an audit any time of your account to make sure that you're spending it on those correct things. Is that correct?
I believe so. Yes.
And they want it to be spent every month, and you can't really save it for college. Is that correct?
No.
So if an employee told that to a recipient, that would be incorrect?
The benefit is for the child. The money can be saved or spent on the child.
So if a recipient was told that all the money has to be spent every month on the care for the child and could not be saved for college because it is Social Security,
The objection sustained for, it's straying into you testifying, ma'am.
so it is not your understanding that that benefit has to be spent every month. Is that correct?
Sustained.
So you are not aware of that?
Sustained.
Can I have a moment to confer?
Go ahead.
We did it, guys. 101 objections. Woo! Party time. She's conferring with her advisory
Mr. Saari, you
council.
weren't present at the interview with me and the employee at the Social Security office on August 12th,
For
were you?
fuck's sake.
I was not.
So you do not really know what was said. Is that correct?
Correct.
So you just saw the applications in the later time?
Yes.
What time about when you started investigating this fraud?
In about January 2020.
And who is your superior?
Is your question who my boss is, or?
Yeah.
I have a special agent in charge who's my immediate boss. Yeah.
Sustained.
Chad was a grave digger for
Who
anyone who didn't know
assigned
that.
my case to you? That's my question.
It's not really relevant, but you can answer, sir.
Are you asking for the name, or what are you looking for as far as your question?
The name would be fine.
At the time, it was special agent in charge, Joe Rogers. He's now retired.
And he was your direct,
He was my ASAC at the time.
and that came to you in January of 2020?
Yes, correct.
Thank you. No more questions.
All right, redirect.
August 12th of 2019, when Ms. Vallow went to Social Security and had a meeting, what is the point of that meeting?
The point of that is for an applicant to come into Social Security, apply for benefits, and then have Social Security determine if they're eligible or not for those benefits.
You have up with you a paper that was provided to you earlier to review. After that meeting, was a letter sent to Mrs. Vallow relating to the answers she gave and the benefits she was requesting.
Yes,
Is that what you were looking at when you were looking at some of the information that she had provided?
yes.
So in that letter that was sent to Ms. Vallow, what address was that sent to?
It would be the 1658 East Sherry Street in Santan Valley, Arizona.
And so that letter covers the answer she gave that we previously discussed of when she married Charles Vallow, for instance,
Correct.
children that they had,
Yes,
that they were still living together,
yes,
and then discussed what she would be applying for.
yes.
When you, in your understanding and having investigated these crimes, does Social Security just start deciding for people what benefits they feel they might want? Do they make decisions for them? Hey,
No.
you look like you might want these benefits.
Not at all. No.
So regardless of whether any of us understand why Social Security would give benefits for a child and for the mother of the child if they're still married to the spouse, that is what you can get?
They would ask the applicant what they are applying for, correct, as far as for that benefit.
So when a couple is married and they have a child together and one of those spouses dies, the other spouse may be entitled to benefits for the child. Is that correct?
Yes,
As well as benefits for them as the mother of that child.
yes,
So in addition to the initial letter after that August 12th meeting, then Ms. Vallow was sent the second two letters, Exhibits 213 and 214, that showed her how much she was ultimately awarded.
correct.
One of them, one letter was sent to her specifically for JJ,
Yes,
and the other letter was sent to her specifically for herself as the mother in care of JJ.
yes,
And that's the one where we saw it was her name for JJ.
yes.
In your investigation, you did not see any surviving spousal benefits.
I did not.
All you saw in looking through reams of documents was that Mrs. Vallow was receiving those two benefits that we've discussed.
Correct.
You were asked about when you began investigating this
One
case.
thing Lori could have done better that a defense attorney surely would have done, they would have started by asking him what documents he did review, because that's not been made very clear. And anyway, just
Yes,
And would those benefits for Lori Vallow have terminated when she became Lori Daybell?
yes. Upon a remarriage, that mother-child and care benefit would immediately cease.
there you go.
But the benefits for JJ would have continued.
Correct.
I have no other questions, Your Honor.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any questions for this witness from the jury? I see at least one coming down.
Yay, jury questions. Woo! Sweet. Now this probably, we're caught up to speed, so we're gonna have to just wait a second. So this may not be from the same juror we've heard from several times, because it might be somebody else, right? Not related to medical stuff. So this will be interesting. So the reason there's no sound, because like I said, they're gonna approach it sidebar and take a look. Just jump all the way up to live. They're going to take a look and decide if it can be asked or not. And Lori, she did it. She's at 102. Actually, I think there was another one. I think I missed one. I think it's actually 103 this juncture. So go Lori, right? I think that's got to be a record. Jesus. Or Moroni, or what was his name? Mephistopheles, or whatever the fuck it was. The dude who I said sounded wrathy. Beelzebub. Who else is a really super biblical sounding name? So it'll be interesting to see who the state's next witness is. They might have let's see, they probably have, depending on how long, they might get one or two more witnesses in before lunch. So we'll see who they have coming up next. Anything we don't get to on this live stream, we will cover tonight for the recap for the rest of the day, this day in trial. Tomorrow, by the way, guys, we have Karen Reed, of course, opening statements. I'm endeavoring to cover that live as they're happening. Probably we'll do opening statements live as they're happening, and then the rest of the day later on, just sort of depending. I know, right? But it'll be really interesting because it's going to be completely different people, right? As we know, we're going to have Mr. Lessie for the defense, and we're going to have Reenan for the Commonwealth. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes and what they will tell the jury that they expect the evidence to show. Will Hard as a Rock come up? We'll see. Only time will tell. They're taking a hot minute, though, to look over these jury questions. So for anyone who missed it too, earlier today, we did do a quick little update on the Adelson case for the motion limine regarding Wendy's stupid book. So Judge Everett did put out an order on that. And of course, we will also continue whenever we do have a chance on more of Lori's inner circle, right? There's still plenty more interviews and whatnot to get to. That will be fascinating. So we will be going through that as well. Probably will be more like this weekend, since we're going to have now 2 trials going on simultaneously that we're going to try to cover. And if I just clone myself, that would be a solution, wouldn't it? Very stoic, isn't he? You can notice the court reporter typing because her head's bobbing. So they're still talking. I'll pull down the banner so you guys can see. She's still typing. Okay, it looks like they might be finished now, perchance. Lori is allowed to be present. I think she just uses the headphones though, but they have that shock vest on her for anyone who didn't know that she's free of restraints, but they can shock her if she starts to go crazy in the courtroom. I do think that if that is used, that would automatically warrant a mistrial, because the jury will see her writhing on the floor and probably pooping herself from what everybody has said about the number of volts. I have no reference for what the voltage or whatever was like, but that's what the experts have said, is that she would literally be in a pile of her own urine and feces on the floor convulsing. So you would imagine that that's obviously going to be a mistrial there. So they're going to have to save that for something like if she starts to like launch at a witness to strangle them or something along those lines. The zapping lasts for 8 full seconds and is meant to be kind of a last resort for safety purposes. So, but she is wearing that vest under her little lawyer outfit she's got. So far, I've counted, she's got 3 different blazers that she's rotating for her outfit. Wow, this is a long time for them to do these jury. The jury there must be several questions, which is interesting. I'm really excited to see what they are. So maybe we can get some music going to fill the sort of courtroom silence here. Oh, wait, maybe they're done. I saw a person standing up. Let's see, is that? I'm going to go back on the record.
I have a couple of questions for you, sir.
Excellent.
Were payments to Lori Vallow stopped after your investigation?
They were, yes.
Interesting question.
And
So the reason that question was asked was basically because they can't ask, and I wonder if this was reworded. The question might have been like, what were the results of your investigation? I'm speculating, could have been, right? And they might have reworded it to were payments stopped after the investigation, right? Because that way they're not asking for his findings, but it implies that, right? The payments were stopped after his investigation, which means you guys can see what that means. Yeah.
during your investigation, do you know if Lori Vallow notified Social Security of her new marriage?
She did not.
Based on those questions, did the defendant have
Excellent.
any follow-up?
Good
to
question.
this witness?
Jury's paying attention. Oh boy.
Do you have any follow-up? Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Saari, you said that I did not notify
Oh, for
Social
fuck's sake.
Security of my marriage
Correct?
that you know of.
To my knowledge, you have
That's-
not? No.
Dude.
Okay. So you don't know if in Hawaii, I was at the Social Security office and notified them,
Sustain. It's, again,
but you're,
testifying.
Lori?
so would you have all of the information
Oh, God.
from every office in that regard?
From our review of the records, there is no notification at all of you ever notifying Social Security of that marriage.
Ah,
Of your, of the records that you had?
no, that was dumb. She should not have asked that question. She should not have asked that question. Dude,
Access to, is that correct?
From our review of these Social Security databases, which would encompass
all of the records.
notifications, we have seen 0 notifications.
And what would you have to do to put in a notification?
An employee would have to go on the record and make a change
Nope.
or make a report of contact,
This
that
is why you don't ask questions that you don't already know the answer to.
sort of thing.
And so that would go into a major database and then it would be available to you as well?
We would have access to view and see if there was any changes made. There were no changes made after August 2019 on your behalf.
So none were made in November, like to your knowledge?
There were none made.
And is that something that you would be made privy to
Yes.
in the course of your investigation?
Why, Lori?
Yes.
Why? What is wrong with you? Literally, why?
So it's
Nothing
not
good can come from her questions to him. Just sit down.
something that you could have just missed?
I did not miss it, correct?
Oh my
Okay.
God. Wow. Excellent. Not
Redirect.
fucking hell.
So
Ugh.
to be clear, does Social Security use
Yeah,
computer
just-
systems to
I
assist on
don't
this
know.
matter?
They do.
You don't just have pieces of paper lying around that maybe you miss?
Correct.
Ah, there you go.
So whenever anything is updated
Pieces of paper.
anywhere in the country, it's put into a database that you were able to access.
Yes.
And you did access it.
Yes.
And you reviewed everything that was in there.
Yes.
And you at no point saw any information to indicate that any changes were ever made to those benefits after August of 2019.
Correct.
And Social Security was not advised that Ms. Vallow had been married in November of 2019.
Correct.
Thank you.
She would have been better off.
All right, sir, you can step down.
She would have been better off, or they might take a morning break. She would have been better off.
Do you have
though-
another witness we can start?
I do.
Go ahead.
Okay, yay. She would have been better off trying to be like, hey, was there a possibility that system was hacked? Like, seriously. Like, it's just imaginary land. But we do know that's where she tends to live. So we are now live. He's just not moving. I thought it was frozen. They're getting their next witness. They're keeping their witnesses kind of a distance from the courtroom because usually it doesn't take quite this long. In other trials, it just depends. Oh, by the way, you can see the Elmo there, guys. Go Elmo. Go Elmo. We love you, Elmo.
All right, you're gonna come right up here.
Yay. I love it when it's a new witness. It's like, who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? Woo.
Stand right here in front of this bar and my.
Always a
clerk will
surprise.
swear you in.
Can you spell your name for the record?
You know, walk around the court reporter, have a seat to my left.
All right.
Would you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Robin Smith Scott.
I'm going to have you move up or pull down that
Who
mic
she is.
so we can hear you a little better. Thank you. Where do you work?
I work at Banner Life Insurance Company,
Okay. Oh,
How long
boy.
have you worked there?
13 years.
What type
Makes
of, well, let me
sense,
start with what does Banner Life Insurance do?
We are strictly a life insurance company. Customers.
So here's what the state has done with their order of their witnesses. You know, they started out with your first responders. That makes perfect sense. They moved from there into Lori's friends. Now I don't know if they're done or if they're going to have more, but they had Lori's friends, Lori's brother, you know, to talk about a whole number of things, the nature of the castings and all the religious culty stuff and all that, the dark, the zombies, but also like, you know, as it pertains to Charles, right? Then they brought in that detective. They brought in, you know, talking about the nature of that. And then they had the, you know, I'm paraphrasing just to show that the order is very well, it's very linear. And this is the reason I'm pointing this out is because this isn't always possible in trials, right? Sometimes there's witnesses that are only available at a certain time and the state or the defense, either one, will have to call them out of order. And might be kind of jarring for the jury. It just depends on their availability, but they've been able to be very linear here. So then you had the medical examiner, right? Then we had the Social Security dude. Now we have the life insurance lady. It makes they've really been able to keep these witnesses coming in a really easy to follow order. That makes a lot of sense logically. I agree. I agree that it is also a cute shirt. Candace, agreed. So, all right, let's go.
Can purchase life insurance policies.
And what do you do for
We
Banner
love
Life
Gabby.
Insurance?
I work in the claims department as a claims representative. I process death claims.
Have you previously had to testify before about a payout of policy?
Yes.
I'm going to start by asking some real general questions so we understand sort of life insurance. How does someone go about getting life insurance?
They could go through an agent. More recent years, you can apply online. There's information, you fill out an application, basic information regarding yourself. There could be some financial questions, health questions.
Okay. And you talked about a agent. What is an agent in there?
An agent is someone outside of our company, but they do business with us. They'll generally try to, you know, find the best coverage and possibly best prices through, you know, different companies for their clients.
When we're talking about life insurance, is there something called a policy owner?
Yes.
Can you tell us what that means?
Pretty much exactly what it states. The policy owner owns the policy. They are the ones that basically can make any changes to the policy during the insured's lifetime, such as they can relinquish ownership. So basically do an ownership change. They can change the beneficiary. They could decrease the value of the policy, you know, if they chose to. They basically have complete control of the policy.
What's the difference between the policy owner and the insured?
So the insured, the policy covers that person's life in the event of that person's passing. The death benefit would be paid to the beneficiary, but the policy owner, if that person is different than is not the insured, again, the policy owner is the only one who can make changes to the policy.
So there are times where the policy owner and the insured are not the same.
Correct.
Can the policy owner and insured then be the same person
Yes.
as well? Okay. And you said the policy owner is able to change the beneficiaries. What do we mean? What is a beneficiary?
The beneficiary is
go, James.
who
Check it
will
out.
receive the death benefit in the event of the insured's death.
Okay. Can the insured, if they're not the policy owner, change the beneficiaries?
If they do not own the policy, they cannot make that change.
Gabby command now. What do you guys think?
Can the beneficiary, if they aren't the policy owner, change anything about the life insurance policy?
No.
Can they, when someone passes away, who decides who will actually be paid out? Who makes that decision of
The
who
policy
will get the benefits?
policy
paid out?
holder.
Well, as us claims examiners, we are going to review the policy any documents that have been submitted through the lifetime of that policy. And we are going to determine and confirm who the primary beneficiary of the policy is.
So if someone obtains a life insurance policy and initially has one beneficiary, they can later file some new forms and create and change that to a different person?
Yes,
So you have to look through and make sure that you have the most recent beneficiary.
correct.
When someone calls
You're like
in
Gabby's friend.
to make a claim on a life insurance, they say so-and-so passed away, is it customary for claims adjusters like yourself at Banner Life to sort of take that information and then look into all these things to make sure you know all of the different changes that may have occurred?
Yes, that is our standard process.
Does Banner Life Insurance keep copies of all of those policies as part of sort of your normal business practice?
Yes,
This record's
And does
exception to
Banner Life Insurance keep
hearsay.
copies of any modifications to a person's life insurance policy as part of the business practice?
yes.
If someone wants to modify who the beneficiary is, how do they go about doing that?
They would request a beneficiary change form. They can also access online if they are able to provide the proper security things through the website. But they would normally contact our customer service department, request a beneficiary change form, and complete it and return it. It is then reviewed by our customer service representatives to make sure it is completed appropriately. And if so, the change will be made. If not, then it's rejected.
Does a beneficiary modification form have to be notarized?
It depends on the amount of the policy. I believe anything that's 500,000 and above would need to be notarized.
So a policy for $1 million would require it to be notarized if you're changing the beneficiary?
Yes,
When people call in to the claims department requesting a payout, are those calls recorded?
yes, they are.
And is that done in the normal
Oh,
course of business with
boy.
Banner Life Insurance?
Yes,
Are we going to get to hear her phone call?
Are you familiar with the life insurance policy with your company for Charles Vallow?
yes, I am.
Are you familiar with how much that life insurance policy was for?
Yes,
How much was it for?
$1 million.
Prior to February 26th of 2019, who was the beneficiary of Charles Vallow's life insurance policy with Banner?
Prior to that date, Lori Vallow was the beneficiary.
So prior to February 26th of 2019, if Charles Vallow had passed away, would his wife Lori Vallow have gotten $1 million?
Correct.
In February of 2019, did Charles Vallow call Banner Life Insurance and request a beneficiary designation form?
He did.
Was one sent to him?
Yes, it was emailed to him.
And did Banner Life Insurance then receive a beneficiary designation form on February 26th of 2019 from Charles Vallow?
Yes,
Was that notarized?
yes,
And in that beneficiary designation form, did Charles Vallow change the beneficiary for his life insurance?
yes.
Who did he make the primary beneficiary for the life insurance?
His sister, Ethel K. Woodcock.
Your Honor, if I can have my paralegal approach with 215?
Go ahead.
Looking at 215, do you recognize that both as an affidavit authenticating the Banner Life Insurance documents,
Yes,
as well as the beneficiary designation form change from February 26th of 2019
yes,
that we were just discussing? In there, is there also a CD?
yes,
Does that contain a recording?
Oh
of
my God.
your, Call with
Holy
Lori
shit.
Vallow on July 15th.
Holy shit.
20.
This is the lady from the life insurance company. And this is going to be the phone call where Lori is going to call and try to see if she can get that life insurance payout. Oh, shit.
yes,
Oh, my God.
Would you like to listen to that to verify that?
yes.
I want to listen to it. Do we get to hear it? They're going to probably have her listen to it without us hearing it. And then hopefully we get to hear it. Oh, my God. By the way, for anyone who's just now joining, Lori has passed 100 objections. Go, Lori, kind of. Way to lose. Please play this for us. Please play this for us. For anyone who didn't see it, we have a new Gabby command. So remember, Lori didn't know that Charles had changed the beneficiary from her to Kay Woodcock on his life insurance policy. Twiz.
And do you recognize that as the call from July 15th of 2019?
I do recognize that.
4 days after his murder, by the way.
The
guys.
state will move to admit exhibit
Yes!
215.
Do it. Publish it. Publish.
Objection.
Publish.
No objection, Your Honor.
No objection.
15.
Publish.
We
Publish.
could Perhaps break at this
No.
point
Okay.
since it's 12:01. Otherwise, it'll be playing for a
All
while.
right, let's take our
Oh,
lunch
so it's a
recess
lo-
for the jury.
Fucking hell. So it's a long call. So she listened to enough to where she could identify it. It's a long phone call. Fuck.
Please remember the admonition
Why?
will
Why?
resume with the jury at 1:30.
All rise for the jury.
Guys, the way in which I want to hear this phone call. God damn it. Leaving us on a cliffhanger, man. This phone call is going to be interesting. So what we might do is this. What we might do is like you guys remember what we did last time where I jammed along with the court TV music? We don't have to do that. They're not playing the music anyway yet. So what we can do, I was going to break and split it up into two, right? And do the rest of the night, but I want to hear that fucking phone call. I don't want to fucking wait until tonight. So,
During,
oh,
yeah, you can
oh,
step down, ma'am.
oh, hold on.
We attempted a sidebar
Hang on.
during the previous witness. There were a number of questions. We had some technical difficulty with our headsets, so some of it didn't get captured by the court reporter. So for the record,
Oh, good.
on juror question form number 8,
Oh my
there were
God.
3 questions. The first question was, were payments to Lori Vallow stopped after your investigation, which we did ask the last witness.
Mhm.
Neither side objected to that question. The second question, if an applicant lied on an application,
Oh.
would an applicant have to pay back money they received? Both the state and the defense agreed that that question should not be asked, and it
Okay.
was not asked. The third question, did Lori notify Social Security of her remarriage or new marriage? The state did not object to, the defendant did object to that question
Mm.
as to
Yeah.
its relevance. The state's argument was that it went toward motive. The court did ultimately ask that question of the witness. I think that's a accurate recitation of what happened at the sidebar. Does the state want to add anything or correct anything? Does the defendant want to add or correct anything?
I'll answer this in just a second.
All right. Secondly, before I forget, I'm going to order that the clerk file the email that was sent by the state to my staff advisory council and the legal assistant for the defendant on Friday, April 11th at 4:35 p.m. And that's the email regarding the service of the subpoena on Bobby Vallow. Can we take up these motions that we referenced this morning at 1:15? We have a time to read those over the lunch?
I will try to, Your Honor.
All right, so we'll address those at 1:15. Anything else from the state? Defense?
Not at this time.
All right, we'll be recessed till 1:15.
Right. So I forgot that. So they do have those motions to take up. So until 1:15. Hold on, let me do the math. So wait, why am I pausing it? Okay. 1:15. So that's, hold on. That's 4:15. That's like less than 45 minutes from now. Because so in other words, here's what I'm thinking they're going to have happen. Oh, and it does say actually court will resume. So, okay. So basically they're going to have a shorter lunch break. By they, I mean the attorneys and the court, so that they can come back early and take up those those filings, which we probably don't have access to yet. I haven't checked, but I would be surprised if we did. But we're going to get to hear them discuss it, which is even better. So they're going to have, so it'll be a short lunch there. And then the jury will take probably like an hour and a half or whatever. So let me answer this question. Oh, I'm going to mute it. There's our music, guys. Okay, so Gwen is saying, so I don't understand why they stopped the Social Security benefits. Was it because you're married or because JJ passed away? I think it's both. And I think that's why part of that was so tricky, because they can't get into the reason for JJ, right? Because remember, it sounded like there were two. One was like for being the mother in care, and one was for being like the spouse in care or whatever the fuck it was called. And I do remember this came out, was able to come in Idaho, and I remember there were both. So in other words, she had benefits from Charles that she was going to collect on after he passed away, right? But you know what you don't get to collect on? If you murder somebody, right? So in other words, and then so like for Charles, it's like you have the benefits that she would be getting, right? And then you have the life insurance that she thought she was going to be getting. For JJ, that would stop, right? If the kid is no longer alive. And so that could be part two, why of like there was an incentive to make it seem like the kids were alive longer, right? I mean, besides not wanting to get caught for murder, but like, you know, they're still alive, but you better believe that regardless of anything else, if they find out that if it's been found that you're the reason why these people don't live anymore, all the benefits stop. No life insurance for you. Like, for example, let's just say that Charles had not changed the beneficiary. Okay. Let's say that Lori was still the beneficiary for his life insurance policy. And that then initially they would have paid that out to her. Right. But what would have happened is once it was determined that it was a homicide, and this would have been a lengthy process, right? But that she was involved, that would have been revoked. So, so she wouldn't have been able to keep that anyway. But the point being that, like, considering she's the reason why these people died, right? It's like, even if she had been the beneficiary, she would not have gotten that in the long run. And of course, she's not going to be getting the Social Security. So hopefully that makes sense. I think that's why it was tricky. And, you know, that could also explain why the agent was really kind of vague on some of the answers. Remember, my interpretation of this is they've had lots of chats, by they, I mean the state, with these witnesses, these state's witnesses, about whatever you do not say these things, because they do not want anything that could even remotely give cause for an appellate issue or for a mistrial, which of course seems like what Lori wants. Twiz cracks me up. So what we can do is this, the music. So the other day we did a thing where it just happened naturally. I got my violin and I started improvising along with court TV music. I don't know if anyone found that remotely entertaining. We do have plenty of things we can watch. I want to hear this fucking call. So, and especially because it's going to be sort of a shorter lunch, and then they're going to come back on the record and discuss the recent filings. So, we shall first, I'm going to have this muted, but we're still live. We first shall finish, because we are almost done with this, Summer Shiflet's interview. So we'll start with that one.
Over, so we put it on speakerphone, and she said that they were leaving town, that they were moving out of state for a while, that they were safe, but they needed to stay gone for a while. And so that we could call them anytime we wanted, but they aren't going to tell anybody where they are until things kind of calm down. She had said that she had given us a couple of different reasons why they were leaving, but I mean, none that we understood completely, but we were just like, okay, whatever we can do to support you during this hard, I mean, I was assuming she was going through this hard time after her husband had died. And she seemed that way to me at the time.
Yeah. But clearly that was when they took off for Idaho, and then the communication just became sporadic.
Yeah. Well, it was here and there texts, a couple of phone calls, and then after October, like nothing. Nothing until she went to jail.
So what about your takeaway from all of this? What you want people to know?
Well, I have a lot of takeaways. First of all, tomorrow's not promised, so hug your loved ones tight every day. Take the picture you don't want to take just for the memories, create the memories. But the biggest thing that I really like people to know is how wonderful Tylee and JJ were. They were incredible human beings. And I feel so privileged to have known them, to have been a part of their life, to have seen their goodness. JJ was a force to be reckoned with. When he was the best reader, he could read from a very young age. And so he would love to get on, if you had a phone or an iPad, he would love to get on the app and order himself plushies and suitcases and toys that he liked.
And then mysterious packages would show up at the front door, right?
They would, yeah. And a lot of times he got to keep what he ordered because he was, just too cute to tell him no. So he got to keep a lot of the things he ordered for himself. And Tylee was just such a good person. She had a lot of integrity. She was kind and generous, very loyal. She would do anything for her friends and family. She really loved with her whole heart. She had a little bit of a sass and wit, and she wasn't afraid to show it and speak her mind, but she was also very kind-hearted. She never did anything out of meanness, but just out of sometimes jokes and things. She would give a little to, especially my kids. They would kind of go back and forth sometimes.
So yeah, I'm sure that the death penalty is kind of sinking in.
Yeah.
With Chad, and is it a little bit of closure, going forward?
It is. I didn't expect that I needed it, but after hearing it, I realized that Tylee and JJ did not deserve the deaths that they got. Their deaths were brutal and unfair. It is unacceptable that they were treated that way. And no matter what happens to Chad, it will never be as bad as what he did to them.
I mean, that is the truth there.
Thank you, Summer.
Yeah.
Death penalty, but as that is the truth. Okay, pause. Okay, so here's what we can do, guys. We can do playing along with the court TV music. We can do twin flaming, because there's plenty of that. I'm actually reconsidering, we might want to save some of the other interviews and stuff, because I want to make those like live streams so that it's concise and people can find them. So I'm kind of rethinking watching some of these other like interviews, for example, so that again, we can just pick up with that on another live stream. But we've got plenty of other stuff we can do here in the meantime while we wait out this lunch break. That will be fun. So, twin flaming, the twin flames, Candace, you've seen it, right? The twin flames cult we've been watching a ton of videos of. Why didn't they just let the family adopt them? Right? I know. And they totally would have. And Colby said he would have as well. So it is a creepy little room. I agree, P Fox. I agree. So I'm just going to block that. So we've got so many great twin flame videos we can do. Oh my God. I mean, they're all so good. I'm just looking at the ones I have saved here. The real life fairy tale one is so good. I don't know that any of you guys have seen this one where he interviews, quote unquote, the Vanity Fair reporter. That is such a good one. You missed it, Candace? I don't even know. Are you sure? I feel like at this point, it's probably impossible for anyone on the Scroll Crew to have somehow missed the twin flames, because it's in so many live streams that we do. The cult, where they're changing people's genders and, multi-level marketing, pyramid scheme. They're being currently investigated by the feds. They started their own church. By the way, there was a new sermon yesterday. We haven't looked into that. Should we look into the sermon, quote unquote, from yesterday? That's one thing we could take a look at. I mean, there's just, okay, let's do this first. It's disturbing and it's also hilarious. And this is where all the tiny waterfall jokes come in. The dude thinks he's Jesus. By the way, this is him. Him and the wife, they look different in every fucking video. We're just going to do a little Okay, we're going to start with the tiny waterfall. Let's do that. Get everyone up to speed. I mean, we even have Jeff custom emojis for that. Those of you guys who are members.
I gotta show you that waterfall though. Oh, there's a little waterfall coming out of the spa.
Wait. Are you? He's calling that a waterfall, guys. What do you think that says about his? You know what size?
And the grounds have been a fixture in their online videos.
I gotta show you that waterfall though. Oh, there's a little waterfall coming out of the spa.
I'm good. I'm dead. Goodbye. Oh my God, I'm dead. I'm dead, you guys. I'm dead. This wins. That is the waterfall. What? I don't.
For years, this house and the grounds have been a fixture in their online videos.
I gotta show you that waterfall though. Oh, there's a little waterfall coming out of the spa.
That speaks volumes though, doesn't it, about him? Holy shit. He calls that a waterfall? Oh dear.
Get this my pool, my slide.
Oh my God.
You know, my little hot tub, and
Is he going to say the waterfall? Is it
got a little waterfall. We haven't really.
Oh my God. Hold on. I was saying that as a joke because this is a different video and different outfit and all that. No way.
But it's getting there,
I'm dying.
and take some time to get a house the way you like it. This is my pool, my slide. You know, my little hot tub, and we got a little waterfall. We haven't really furnished it yet, but we're gonna make it real nice. This is my house.
Oh my God.
This is the back of it.
Waterfall. You've got to be.
It's a pretty sweet spot.
I'm remembering too, Candace, was it? Because I remember you were talking about your experience meeting a cult leader. Was that in reference to Lori we were watching? Because I would have thought it would have been related to this. Franks is here. I mean, right? It's just, so this is him as well here. But let's just do this because this is honestly some of the best shit you'll ever fucking see in your lives. And so you're going to see comments, guys, that are from us watching this for the very first time. This is from like 3 weeks ago, us watching this for the very first time. So you'll see comments on the screen that were from then. But this is funny. This is funny every time, if not funnier every time.
Back to our channel. I'm Shalia.
This is them. Yeah, these are the same people, by the way.
My name's Jeff.
That's right. And as you can see from the title, we are moving on to the juicy topic of sex and twin flames.
So the music playing in the background. What is that shit?
Sex is good, folks. Sex is good.
Yeah, it's pretty synonymous to sex and twin flames. They really go hand in hand here. I mean, that's
the music is so distracting. What the fuck is that? Just to hold on. Is it a pentagram? I think so. Definitely. This is crazy. And like, what is happening?
That's right. And as you can see from the title, we are moving on to the juicy topic of sex and twin flames.
The sex is good, folks. The sex is good.
Yeah, it's pretty synonymous
Oh God.
to sex and twin flames. They really go hand in hand here. I mean, that's practically obvious, but some people are a little confused about that one in particular. But Jeff and I were talking fairly recently about twin flame sex, and I guess we're talking about our sex, I guess. And as we went deeper and deeper in our conversation about our sex, it's a popular topic around the house. I mean, it's normal. But the point is when we're talking about it, as
his face, this is just, there's something not right, more than what we even thought. Like, watch this thing with his face.
around the house, I mean, it's normal.
Yeah, but probably get intuition because we already figured this out. We've been watching these people for a long ass time, and we definitely came to that conclusion as well. But that fish has got good instinct. Look at this. This is just what it's like, a seance / I don't even know what.
Around the house. I mean,
it's definitely, the face definitely says like, I eat people, right?
It's normal. But the point is, when we're talking about it, I was like, I feel like I've never really had sex before until like we met. I mean, it's like physically, I wasn't a virgin, but like emotionally, mentally, spiritually, I was a virgin until I met Jeff sexually. And when we started talking about it, like I just felt like something changed in my heart, and I was like, wow, like this is real shit. Like, I really am a virgin. Except for when the day we actually like made love together. And the reason why everyone is actually a sexual virgin, spiritually speaking, is until you meet your twin flame, you've never actually experienced what true sex is meant to be designed for. It's meant for the truest of love to be expressed. And you experience that truest of love not with a soulmate or a false twin or anyone else. You experience that with your twin flame.
Yeah.
And I felt that, like, I mean, we obviously have enough experience with our sex life at this point that we can definitely talk about the contrast between our sex life now that we have together versus like the sex life we had with prior sexual partners. And it was never fulfilling. It was never.
I'm at that point where I'm not going to be able to stop laughing. My face hurts. And part of it is this music and his face and what y'all are saying. Oh my God.
It never was very, it wasn't insatiable. It didn't quench this deeper part of my soul that was that was thirsty, that was desiring this deep level of loving and transcendental spiritual experience.
The music is, it's a tiny waterfall. That's what it is.
Of love in my sex. And I remember like the first time we ever made love, I swear to God, I cried for maybe 30, 60 minutes straight. And
like uncontrollable shaking, weeping.
And I'm not that kind of person. Like,
you guys, sorry, I can barely breathe. I can't catch my breath because I'm laughing too hard. I just wanted to get that face.
It was very,
oh my God,
it was insatiable. It didn't quench this deeper part of my soul that was that was thirsty, that was desiring this deep level of loving and transcendental spiritual experience of love in my sex. And I remember like the first time we ever made love, I swear to God, I cried for maybe 30 to 60 minutes straight. And
uncontrollable shaking, weeping.
And I'm not that kind of person, that type of person, just like cry like during sex.
I was like, oh, like a few thoughts were going through my head. First was like, oh no, she's crazy.
Oh, shut
And then
up.
that one passed, and I was like, oh damn, I'm good. And then that one passed, and I was like, oh no, she's never been loved before.
Yeah, that was it. Like, well, you never were, I same with you. I guess you're having a different experience. I don't think you've ever wept.
But I didn't weep after our sex, not like you did, but I definitely felt touched and moved.
He cries when I sing him love songs.
Yeah.
All right, next video. Guys, ready? Next clip here. This is just these comments are so funny though.
He's my eternal lover, my eternal partner. And so, yeah, of course, it like completely makes sense. Like sex before was just an act. Even though, sure, I felt love for my sexual partners. I felt something, obviously, for my sexual partners. Some of them I even thought they were my twin flame, and I was very, very convinced, especially with my false twin flame, of course. But, there you have it. It wasn't until I met Jeff I realized.
False twin flame? Oh, dear. You guys, I'm dying.
Wow, like
Okay, hang on. Okay, so the next video, that was a good pause. Look at that one. Wow, that's a good one. Dude, these two people. Okay, this is just so good. I love this comment from Heather. Put these two in a tomb for 3 days, they'll be fine. Amazing. 100%. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. All right, ready? 5D, twin flame sex technique. 5D.
I'm Jeff.
I'm not.
And I'm Selena. Really?
Oh my God.
Oh boy. Definitely.
I don't know what's happening.
Should we get a whole video like this? How many people can we piss off to get them to stop watching now? Huh? Oh, hi.
Oh my God.
Today we're going to talk about amazing 5D twin flame sex techniques.
Oh my God. Oh my. When it called it right here. Called it. Like, you guys, my face hurts so bad. I'm not kidding. My face hurts and I'm crying.
oh boy, here we
Don't
go
worry,
again.
you'll learn how in this video.
No, you don't.
So you're going to need some tools for your amazing 5D twin flame sex techniques.
Guys,
And if you don't have a singing bowl, made from pure metal and divine wood, and especially
divine wood. That's why he's talking about this.
corrugated felt.
There's 7 metals in there. Yeah.
7, really? 7
Music
metals.
is playing this.
7 metals.
Get it on
Blessed by a Tibetan monk. If you don't have this, you need to get one, on eBay from real Tibetan monks. And you need to ask them to be specially blessed for you. And once you have this tool,
It seems like he's joking, but like he's not joking.
then you can begin.
Why would anyone? So why? I don't understand. So there's a lot. Here's them during their Vanity Fair interview, which is going to be relevant for the next thing. we want.
Pyramid scheme.
Oh my God. The question, literally, I just pick anywhere and it's all gold. The question right here that I randomly went to is what stops us from being a pyramid scheme?
A whole lot more subject.
What stops this from being a pyramid
Incredible.
scheme?
It's not. Can you define what a pyramid scheme is?
Well,
Those are the same two people, guys. Literally the same exact way they answered the questions. So it's like, what makes this not a cult? And he's like, it's not. Can you define what a cult is? Literally the same.
the structure seems to be that there is wealth at the top
I can't.
and that anyone's wealth below is reliant on bringing in more people below that.
Yeah, it's just
below
not
that.
true.
But on this,
Oh my God, look at him freaking the fuck out. This is crazy.
the structure seems to be that there is wealth at the top and that anyone's wealth below is reliant on bringing in more people below that.
Yeah, it's
below
just not
that.
true.
But on this concept of a pyramid,
Basically, they have this Vanity Fair. This is recently, okay? Or sorry, this is not Vanity Fair. They do a Vanity Fair article thing, which Jeff thinks is gonna be great for them. I think this is in 2021, and he thinks it's all about promoting them, right? And he's all excited about it. Well, of course, it was like an expose, and anyway, that's going to be relevant here in just a second. This interview that we're seeing right here happened very, very recently. And what happened was Jeff and Shalia, the two cult leaders, contacted her in October of 2024, so just several months ago, and asked for her to interview them. And this just came out recently. But right now, what we're going to jump to is the fun one, which is the, where'd it go? Okay. The part where he thinks he's interviewing, by he, I mean Jeff, the Vanity Fair reporter. This is so hilarious. This is, yeah. So, okay. So let me pull this up. So that lady on the left is the Vanity Fair lady who wrote this really long article. We read the entire thing, by the way, on a different live stream. We read the entire thing. And so she's been staying at the house, right? With all the slaves, and she made sure that she had like safety protocols in place. And so so now that's obviously Jeff, right? So he's going to be quote unquote interviewing her, but this is really hilarious. And his whole goal here is, I think he wants her to say on the record that all of his crazy beliefs are real, and it does not go to plan. It's amazing.
And this is my new friend, Alice Hines. Today we're going to be talking about Are Twin Flames Real? And don't worry, she's just my friend. She is not my new twin flame or anything like that. Shalia, you gonna say hi? Something behind the camera?
Hi.
Okay, she's still here. Good.
That's not Shalia. That is that is the Vanity Fair reporter.
Don't worry. Oh, she's showing herself.
There's Shalia only gains weight.
We're here in our, we normally shoot Church of Union Sunday service. We got this new backdrop. Love never fails. That's pretty sweet. I want to share that with you. But let's talk about past lives first.
Oh boy.
Alice Hines is
That's super cool, Glennon. I love that. Amazing.
Freelance journalist. And who have you written?
I've always wanted to go to Tibet, by the way.
I'm writing a story for Vanity Fair. That's why I'm here to interview Jeff and Shalia. I have also written for New York Magazine and the New York Times.
Cool. And Allure and
and Allure.
all the
a lot of
people.
other places. Yeah.
She's a serious journalist is what I'm trying to get across here.
And it's COVID.
He's trying to build. This is that thing that they talk about on the behavior panel where it's like, whatchamacallit, like what is it called? Like resume building or whatever. Like he's trying to be like, yeah, she's a serious journalist, thinking that she's going to validate any of his fucking nonsense. And it's going to like validate him and this whole cult. It's insane.
It's COVID, so Alice has her mask on, so she's not trying to be shy or anything. She's just
That's right.
yeah.
Just
Okay.
following CDC guidelines.
I think that everyone can appreciate that.
Yeah.
So you're not worried you're gonna get sick from me?
No, I'm not.
Okay, I live in the house all day, so it's very unlikely.
Great. Good to know.
We've also done a tour of their house in multiple different
let's talk
ways.
about past lives first. So you came, you're interviewing us. You're here for a couple days, and you wanted to know like what was my channeling like, and so
She's nodding.
you experienced our channeling, and we channeled a couple of your past lives. What was that like for you?
It was really interesting, and I think a good representation of what you mean when you say channeling.
Okay, what do you think I mean when I say channeling?
Well, I guess I don't want to speak for you because I don't want to make a mistake, but I have it in my notes.
Sure. What do you think I mean when I say channeling?
I think what you told me is you mean basically getting a message from, getting kind of a signal from God, I think you put it, that indicates some reality about the world.
Some reality about the world. Okay, that's quite vague, but that's very careful. So that's fine. So we channeled your past lives, and it sounds like you're unsure about whether it's real or not, and that's fine. You're, I believe, exploring the idea of who I channeled you to be.
He's not happy about it. By the way, so this is a deleted video, right? So this used to be on their YouTube page because they're still alive and kicking. They're still producing all kinds of content. This was supposed to be, right, a video that was going to make him look really cool. Anyway, they deleted this video off of their page for obvious reasons. But thankfully it still exists on the internet.
Yeah, you said I was Edgar Allan Poe and also Virginia Woolf.
Isn't this so funny, like with Lori and Chad? So he told her that in a past life, she was Edgar Allan Poe and also Virginia Woolf. I mean, the overlap is insane, really.
Yeah, that's fucking nuts. So like most of my audience knows like, yo, like who this is sitting next to me. I think that's really cool and exciting that, Edgar Allan Poe, actually feminine being. There you go. You're welcome for that one too.
Oh, okay,
It's a
interesting.
new channel. Right?
Okay,
What do you
interesting.
mean by feminine being?
Well, Gabe is like, a masculine person, and he was born in a woman's body.
Gabe being one of your students who you met.
Yeah. Well,
Gabe being one of their students, quote unquote, who they forced to change gender and actually go through gender reassignment surgery.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess maybe not everyone.
No, not
so.
everyone.
But how are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling good. I'm waiting for the answer on feminine being.
Oh, okay. So Edgar Allan Poe is like, a feminine being in a man's body because like, 1800s, like how are you going to write if, you're a woman? It's really hard. And you had said, well, heck, I'd rather write than be a woman. I think that was your response. Wasn't that your response there when we talked about that, about Edgar Allan Poe?
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't remember saying that exactly, but
The essence of. I don't have notes and a recorder here. I just get the.
Just to reiterate, this is not the lady cult leader. This is the lady cult leader is behind the camera or whatever. This is the journalist from Vanity Fair who interviewed them and wrote this really long article. And now Jeff is quote unquote interviewing her.
Yeah, I have to go back and.
Don't worry, no one's gonna like quote you. It's just a feelings
They
sort
can
of
quote
thing.
me.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's what we have here, and today we're gonna talk about Are Twin Flames Real? And Alice has been here interviewing us and our students, and she's been interviewing tons of our students, and in Harmonious Union about their twin flame journeys, and you've got to experience a lot of twin flames in Harmonious Union. And so,
Just nods.
I've invited Alice onto the channel to talk about, from her reader's perspective, what she thinks her reader believes about twin flames.
Oh,
based
boy.
on the information that she's been given. And I can speak for you here. She's a professional journalist, and she likes to get the story that others have, and she's left largely her own opinion out of pretty much everything.
I think my readers don't know much about twin flames, so that's part of why I'm here.
Yeah. So we've learned a lot about twin flames in this whole, process. What do you think? Do you think that your reader, after knowing, if your reader knew what you knew and know,
Oh my
do you
God.
think your reader would believe that twin flames are
Oh my
real?
God. So what he's really asking her is, didn't this change your mind? I mean, this whole thing, everything that they invited her there thinking they were going to convince her that this is all real. It's really amazing. And so that's really the heart of this question.
Do you think that your reader, after knowing, if your reader knew what you knew and know, do you think your reader would believe that twin flames are real?
I don't know. That's a really good question. I have to think about it. Yeah, it's hard to put my head into the mind of, readers not yet having written the story.
Right.
And not really, yeah, I guess the honest answer is I'm not sure.
Not sure.
But I know that, I think you have something to say about twin flames and
I do.
your belief that they are real.
Sure.
So I'd love to hear about it.
Well, everyone knows about that already on my channel.
Okay,
I
sure.
think what people are going to be most interested in is hearing the larger world's perspective. And, it sounds like, there's maybe both sides. Like there's some
No.
of your readers are going to believe that it's real.
No.
And some of them are going to not believe that it's real.
No.
And if
Definitely
you
not.
give a voice to, both of those sides, I think that, my audience would be really interested in that.
I
So
think you're probably
and there have been documentaries about them on Amazon Prime and Netflix. I have not seen those. And those came out, I think, after the scathing Vanity Fair article, which literally this is the author who wrote it. We're watching right here. I never saw those. I saw the recent one that came out with that lesser known journalist for that local channel or whatever, which we just saw a clip of a few minutes ago. That's the one I saw on YouTube. And I learned from that documentary that they have been on Netflix and Amazon Prime and whatever for documentaries exposing this cult. So you may have seen it there.
right. I mean, I think that's
Mhm.
some people will believe it's real and some people believe it's not real. That's definitely a fair thing to assume.
Definitely true.
So why are people going to believe that it is real?
I'd love if you can answer that.
Well, the whole point of getting you on my channel is for you to talk.
Well, I'm happy to talk, but no,
Oh,
I
God.
mean, I'm happy to talk, but I mean, I'm not the expert.
Well, you're the
I
expert.
mean, you know
on
what I
interviewing
would
me.
love to be able to do
What?
is, if you can explain your perspective, what is something I'd actually like to do this is kind of recap and make sure I'm getting what you're saying. So
Alice,
I'm making sure I'm understanding it.
We're on my YouTube channel right now. We're not. I thought we interview was like we set that aside.
Well, this is part of my interview, but
I
I'm
get
happy
that.
to do a
I
video
get
as
that.
well.
So did you not want to do a video?
Oh, no, I'm happy to do a video.
Well, we got to do the video.
We're
We need
doing
to
it.
know. We need to know what you think and feel.
Right. So, I don't have anything new to share, but I do have
His
lots of
face.
questions.
Okay.
Wow. Wow.
Maybe
So you can tell he was not expecting this. He was expecting her to be like, yep, twin flames are real and this is not a cult and all this. It's crazy.
anything new to share, but I do have lots of questions.
Remember, he thinks he's Jesus.
Okay.
Maybe if you, I mean, the concept of if twin flames are real, I mean, that's a very big question. So maybe you could get us started and then I'm happy to give input. I mean, you guys have been hanging out with me for the past couple days. It's not as if I don't say anything or don't, give input. So I'm not, that maybe that's a good way to start.
Okay. How should we start?
Well, you can answer your own.
Oh my
question.
God.
Well, of course, I think twin flames are real. But you hung out with all of us, right?
Right.
To see twin flames. And are you willing to give your own opinion?
Well, yeah, sure. I guess so. I've spoken with your students, and they say that they are very happy and harmonious union, and insist that twin flames are real.
I know that that's what they say. But,
He wants to hear it from her to validate this whole thing. It's crazy.
Your opinion?
No.
No.
Okay. Why not?
I don't think that's my role. And
That's fine. I respect that.
I'm still, my inquiry is open. I'm
Yeah, I respect
a
that.
receptacle for this information.
He has to be really careful, right? So that it doesn't shut the whole thing down with your answer. She does a great job.
You're right that I'm careful.
face.
I'm not gonna, of course, I'm not gonna, say either way, make a definitive conclusion about that question. I don't think that's my place.
Okay, I understand that.
Look at it. He's so confused. I love it.
This is an interesting video.
Yeah, sure.
I had no idea it was going to be like this.
Cool.
Wow. Amazing.
Well, yeah, it is interesting. Yeah.
It's fun just to talk and, I've never met anyone like you.
Oh my God.
Why is
This
that?
is him trying to rationalize.
Well, you're you for one.
So he's trying to now figure out a way to rationalize. He was not prepared for this. He's trying to figure out a way now to rationalize the fact that she did not just go in and say, "Yep, it's all real and I believe it," and da da da. It's just so funny. I know, right? Thank God for that.
And I don't know a lot of journalists, so I've seen them on TV. I'm not maybe they're not rare to you, but for most of the world, a journalist is a rare mythical creature.
Totally.
And we're reading all the journalists we're reading all the news that all the journalists are putting out, and you're rare. There's movies about journalists. No one.
He's buying himself
no one
time.
gets to meet journalists.
He's buying himself time to try to be the reason why I'm so thrown off is because you're a journalist. I've never been around a journalist before. I'm not used to this. People not giving their opinion. He's buying himself time. Chaff redirect.
And I think it's cool that we get to talk about why won't you answer this question? And
Incredible.
I kind of know why and you kind of explained it you're not done formulating your article, and it sounds like when your article drops you're not going to have an opinion in it, and I think that's really different than how most people act and are.
Yeah, I think I do think in any of my writing, which your viewers should go check out, absolutely. Well, I usually think it's important to consider multiple perspectives.
Mhm.
And
By the way, guys, I've got the court feed. They're not back
maybe
yet.
we could talk through what it would mean for twin flames to be real or not real.
Sure.
What do we mean? Maybe that's a good way to get into it.
Okay.
What do we
Right.
mean when we say
Exactly.
real?
Real meaning okay, well that's a really interesting question.
Is it?
Real meaning base reality. Real meaning this is how the universe works. Real meaning 1 + 1 = 2 every single time. Real meaning mathematics, science. If you take a couple ibuprofen, it's going to do this to your body in most cases, unless these factors. Real meaning
Interesting example. I would have stuck with the 1 + 1 = 2.
Will grow, of kind, that level of real. So you want to talk about what if twin flames are real and what if they're not?
Yeah, he's not used
That's a
to
great
someone.
Could it be possible that they're real to some people and not to others?
That is a possibility,
This is really funny.
but that doesn't explain that. That's a hard sell.
Why is that?
Because why is it that everyone who completes the work in my community gets the result?
There's another video that we've watched on a different live stream where he offers literally $1 million to whoever's watching, $1 million. And he says it over and over again, $1 million if you can find these types of results any other way or something like that. It's really hilarious.
And I guess you could say a certain type of person is attracted to my work, and
You could say that.
you're trying to if it's real for some and not for others, that would mean at our essence, you and I are inherently different. We're not at the core.
I'm not talking too much.
We're separate from each other, and that's when I hear you say.
Yeah, I have the volume all the way up. They are hard to hear. But Gwennon, you're not talking too much, but we're glad you're here. It's just this is all the way up. And also she's got the mask on too. But there are CCs if that helps.
What if it's real for some people and not for others? Well, that's what it ultimately comes to in my mind. That
you and I and everyone else in the world, like there are some groups who are alike and other groups who are not. But that's not the level that twin flames exist on. Twin flames exist on a fundamental level of existence, like the way you were created, base reality.
I turned down my mic, guys. Does this help?
Like unchanging.
Is that
In
better?
Place is where twin flames exists. And so if you're asking, do twin flames exist, for some and not for others? Well, then you're suggesting that some people are separate from other people. And I think
Now rewind it because this is really interesting. I turned down my mic. Let me know if I need to turn it down more. This is really interesting where he starts talking and trying to answer this question. Okay.
a certain type of person is attracted to my work, and but you're trying to if it's real for some and not for others, that would mean at our essence, like you and I are inherently different. Like we're not at the core, we're separate from each other. And that's what when I hear you say that, what if it's real for some people and not for others? Well, that's what it ultimately comes to in my mind, that you and I and everyone else in the world, there are some groups who are alike and other groups who are not. But that's not the level that twin flames exist on. Twin flames exist on a fundamental level of existence, like the way you were created, base reality, eternal, unchanging. In that place is where twin flames exists. And so if you're asking, do twin flames exist, for some and not for others? Well, then you're suggesting that some people are separate from other people. And I think that that's a general consensus perspective on how the world is. That some people believe this and other people will believe that. It's because we're inherently different and we're not one at the core. But I fundamentally reject that reality, not just because I want to believe that, but because that's not the reality that's not base reality, and that's where I choose to live my life from. And so if I live in base reality, everything works out. Everything should harmonize. There should be nothing out of order. I should literally know why everything happened. Every single thing has to have a place. Every single thing has to have order.
He lives in base reality, guys.
Everything has to have meaning. Everything has to function in perfect harmony, not almost perfect harmony. But can you see that if we are separate, or some people are separate from other, groups of people, that means there's a fundamental, separation. And you would call it through my lens of reality. But that's not what I'm looking to achieve here. Through my lens of reality, everything is one.
Yeah, that's a question I have. You mentioned several times during our interviews the word separation, and I'm not sure I know what it means.
Sure. So if you understand there's a loving God and you have a relationship with him, and all of your good comes
This is
from him,
interesting.
like a really rich dad who takes care of all the bills and loves you and gives you all the things, takes care of you in every way. It makes you feel really good, builds up your self-esteem and self-confidence, directs your life, and just wants to be with you all day. And that's your happiest place. Imagine that he stopped paying any of your bills. Separate that'd be this is your agreed upon relationship. This is your ultimate happiness and his, and suddenly he stopped paying your bills, or you stop receiving all the money, all of it. But all the other things work out. Well, you're experiencing separation from your father in finances, or he stopped talking to you, or he ended the relationship with you, that separation. And what I'm telling you about reality is that God never separated himself from you, and you're not separated from him. It's only the illusion of, meaning there's no relationship.
He goes, starts to write it down. Dude, by the way, court's not back yet.
There's a relationship. So Alice likes to do is take notes.
It's bullshit.
Yeah, I take notes.
This is hilarious. It's bullshit word salad. It's the most dude. He's the king of this type of shit. The bullshit. He can go on and does go on sometimes for hours, literally, and it's crazy. He doesn't make a single point. It's really something else.
Meaning there's no relationship, or there is a relationship. So Alice likes to do is take notes.
Yeah, I take notes. Yeah.
Oh my God.
She's told us that she's recorded every minute of our conversation here, and she tells us that that she transcribes the whole thing and then combs through it all.
Yeah, that's right.
That's crazy. There's hours of thick content.
Yeah,
Which
I
content, you
use,
said?
I use an online transcription service, and then read through the interviews. Yeah, it's good because you can process things not just once, but you can go back and realize a second context, a subtext sometimes to what people are saying, which is interesting.
Is science?
Do you ever actually wait? Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Do you guys ever rewatch your own videos?
Yeah.
All the
They
time?
don't. They don't. I promise they don't.
What is it like with any objective for
Hilarious.
fun, to learn something?
Just to review, like,
They don't. I swear they don't.
harmony with what we're hoping to achieve. And
Their videos all contradict each other. They do not watch them. I guarantee you. Plus, there's so many of them they would have taken off of YouTube for myriad reasons,
sometimes we revisit old videos, just like
including criminal charges.
Sometimes I find it cathartic.
Pending.
Just to like watch
Pending.
us, yeah, and what we have to say, and like
I think
that, like what I had to say then, like it hasn't changed. Now.
yeah. Well, in our recent
It has
videos, we
changed.
reviewed because they're really like edgy, and we wanted to make sure like that's what we really meant before we dropped them.
Right.
So we reviewed those before we
Like
released
the
them.
one to addressing haters and
Yep. Yeah, we watched those, some of those multiple times, just
what,
to
what
make
was
sure.
what were the what will you do? What should you do if you're in a twin flame cult?
Yeah, we reviewed that one. Yeah, all the most recent, the last
Yeah,
6
yeah.
videos or so,
Makes sense.
10 videos.
Yeah.
Did you reshoot any of them?
No, I never reshoot anything.
Okay, cool.
I never reshoot. The only cuts we ever make is just like
Brilliant.
I'm staring off in the distance for an hour, and then
Yeah.
like should they cut it out?
Or a distraction, or you're running around the house. Like I didn't do any serious editing, just for flow.
Yeah, sure. It makes
Yeah.
Because like we have a lot to put out, so
Yeah.
like it's just better we just do a like single cut for everything we do.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. It's easier.
So you talked about a reality where twin flames are real in some ways for some people.
He's still got an
not for
agenda.
other people.
He's not giving up yet on his agenda. Oh,
Okay, but that cuts out like and this is I feel a fundamental like question about journalism.
oh my
And I
God.
think that like
trying to-
some journalists
he's trying to
think that
gaslight her.
It's not their role to like it's definitely
Wow.
the journalist's role to like bring in their own opinion unless it's clearly an opinion piece or that's like the agreement.
Oh my God. He's
I'm
trying
talking
to.
about raw journalism.
Oh my God.
And like I think that raw journalism's
Wow.
highest like,
Wow.
responsibility
Oh my God.
is to communicate the truth about reality.
Do you guys see? This is insane. He's trying to make her feel like she's not a real journalist if she doesn't do what he's telling her to do, basically. The gaslighting is so insane right now.
Like communicate the truth about society. And I think that
He's trying to get around the whole thing about her not giving her opinion by like wording it differently.
there are many
And also making her feel like she's a shitty journalist if she doesn't say something.
perspectives,
Crazy.
but one truth. And I think that that's what people long for from their media and journalism. And I think they long for a media outlet that's bold enough to publish that
Right.
consistently. and
I have
stand
the
behind it.
address.
And I don't know that that exists yet today. But I hope to one day create a media outlet.
I was
that
just gonna
will-
say, it
yeah.
sounds like you want to become a journalist.
No, I want to like I have divine dish.
Divine
I
dish.
want to become a chef. I'm a critic, but
He
not
is.
a chef. Like we have Chef Jason, and he's a very fine chef. And you've enjoyed some of his meals.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Yeah. I don't want to chef food. I just want to have.
my God.
great
Want to
food.
develop it. help
Yeah, and
develop
like
the
because
concept.
I haven't experienced it yet, I want to develop great food. But the same thing with journalism, like I just get the sense from you that you really like are very cautious about saying this is the truth.
I'm not when it's clear to me.
So is there
My
something?
hand is holding my reporter.
Sure,
You know,
I don't get what you just meant by that.
Well, like truth.
like it's true. It's a true fact.
What is it? True fact?
It is a true fact.
Oh right, okay. Sorry, I went
No,
way
no,
over my
no
head.
worries.
I thought you had some sort of like other interpretation for it.
Quiz.
No.
Okay, sorry, my channel.
Wow.
Be very, spiritual.
Sure thing.
It's during COVID.
So, are you saying that you have not come to a conclusive truth yet, or a conclusion? You're not ready to?
Oh my
Like,
God,
that's
he's still
not
trying.
part of your process?
He's not giving up yet.
Saying twin flames I'd love to, maybe we can talk about it a bit more.
Yeah.
Like, it was helpful when you kind of described what you meant by reality, like just
Right.
define our terms a little bit.
He
That
is
was helpful.
Jesus, so
I'd also be, interested to hear the perspective that they're not. I think that's a valid perspective too, and I'm open to it.
Well, let's talk about that. How could they, with all the information been given to you, not be real? Like, how
Oh
could
my
that be
God.
a possibility with what you've seen? Where does that full picture fit?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm saying I'm open to that opinion. I think it's, you obviously don't have that opinion, so we're not really going to get anywhere with that.
Well, that's not true.
It is true.
Because I'm open to truth.
Oh my God.
If you're going to bring facts or questions that could refute what I believe is truth, like, I have to look at it.
Wow, what a way to what a way to do that, right? He's like, well, no, I'm open to truth, but twin flames is the truth. It's insane.
Sure, I hear you.
So what I would have liked to see from this video, not attached, what I would have liked to see from this video is like any thoughts you have that would suggest that, hey, this is not real. Any questions that are like, what would make this not real for people?
Yeah, okay, I see what you mean. And we can get somewhere, and I can kind of play the devil's advocate a little bit,
Sure.
and be in someone else's shoes. When you think about it, I mean, I don't know. I can imagine someone saying twin flames aren't real because, I never met my twin flame, and
Hasn't happened to me
the
yet.
relationships that I've had, it's the idea that, I'm paraphrasing here,
Sure.
you have your perfect partner, which I think is the concept of twin flame. This person exists. I can imagine someone saying, well, that never happened to me and I never found it, therefore it's not real. I mean, I can imagine that for sure.
Well,
Because the answer is you have to change you have to pay them a bunch of money and change genders. That's how you make it happen. That's why it's not real. Remember, their whole thing is like, if it doesn't happen, then it's like they blame you and then they force you to change genders and whatnot.
this is a very
Pretty
easy
great, not.
idea to overcome. Just because it hasn't happened to you doesn't mean it's not real. That's very easily refuted. And furthermore, if you try my work and it doesn't happen for you, you'll be the first person. Every single person has found their twin flame through my work. That look for their twin flame through my work,
Sure.
found them.
I mean, maybe
Sure.
another perspective that I can, paraphrase is, people who tried your work and didn't find their twin flame and left and are now within the category that you call haters, right? That say, we don't think this is real.
The
A
haters.
lot of my haters, like most of them, if not all, like most of them found their twin flame through my work. And they quit. So how are you going to get the thing at the end of the journey if you quit? You got to arrive at the destination in order to be at the destination. How are you going to get the thing at the end of the journey if you stop halfway, or you stop 99.9% of the way before? If you don't go all the way, you can't get anything. Isn't that like universally true?
Yeah, see, I think what you're saying is that you don't think that your critics who used to be within your community are capable of assessing whether twin flames are real on a general universal level.
They're
What
not
authority
people.
do they have to assess that?
Oh my God.
Yeah, I hear that's what you're saying.
What authority do they have to assess whether twin flames are real for everyone?
Oh, I know.
If they're not looking at the data of
It is
all
terrifying.
of the twin flames who have attained harmonious union through my work.
And you do have that authority?
Yeah, I have that authority because I established the work and we tested it, and people are attaining harmonious union and getting incredible results all the way along. That's why
That's why you think twin flames are real.
Well, that's how I know twin flames are real. It's beyond like
Wow. Wow.
It becomes a knowing when there's enough data and facts.
Enough data. Jesus Christ.
So like there's like, you can keep presenting ideas of why twin flames might not be real, but like they're just so incomplete. Like it does, just because an idea itself has power behind it, it doesn't mean it's complete or fits anywhere other than in the mind of someone who's unsure and unclear. But like, this is the dialogue we've been having a lot with Alice is, what does she want to publish? You want to publish a bunch of, like incomplete ideas or a cohesive mosaic?
Oh God. That's so gaslighty.
I think those are
Wow.
two metaphors. Yeah, I'm not sure. But I think if you read I think if you read my past articles and get a sense of the type of stuff I like to write and the tone I take and my methods of sourcing, it's a good indicator of what I'll write. Yeah.
Well,
But
you're
I'm
gonna
happy
have to read the article that she
You're
drops,
gonna
no
have to
matter
read the
what.
article. Yeah, I think this I'm super happy to do this video with you, and I really wanted to see Jeff and Shalia's process of making a video, so I'm super happy to be able to see that, and thank you for accommodating. And in terms of my perspective on twin flames, and what I actually think, which is what I think you want to know. Yeah, I think I think my article is going to be a great indication of that. So I invite your viewers to check it out when it comes out.
Ooh, good salesperson. I see that.
Yeah.
Great. Oh, they will. Oh,
Yeah, Frank's actually, so Frank's asking, did she ever write the article? Do you remember when you helped me figure out how to find something and I had a paywall, Frank's, and you sent me the link thing on Discord? That was so I could read the Vanity Fair article. And we read that on a live stream. I read the entire thing. I don't remember which one it is because there's been so many where we've done different twin flaming stuff. But yeah, I read the entire article. And you can, I'm sure, also just find it. Yeah, that's the one. That's the article. Yep, it happened. And remember, this picture right here, right here, was taken for the article in Vanity Fair. And Jeff on the slide is the Jeff emoji that we have. So.
Oh, they will. I don't. Nothing like this has ever been done before in media. Like no one has ever gone this deep into the twin flame community and like dug and dug and dug for.
Court is still not back yet, by the way.
So whatever you come up with, it's going to be really compelling. No one's investigated this deeply into all this.
He thinks it's going to be good publicity. It's crazy.
Other than us, but we're in it, so an outside perspective.
Right, you're in it because it's a call and outside.
Yeah, so thanks for helping me do it.
Yeah, so are twin flames real? Alice will say, read my article. And
Wow.
are twin flames real? I'd say fucked up, but Well, thank you so much for joining us. We'll link the article when it drops. It's going to be online too, right?
Oh yeah, it'll be online.
Okay, cool. And in the magazine, physical magazine?
Magazine.
Oh, and a photographer's coming out next week to photograph Shalia and I?
Yes.
This is the photo shoot I was just
And,
referencing. Well,
is it likely that a photo of Shalia and I will show up in the magazine?
See, I can't. So this is the type of thing that you shouldn't. I can't like.
Oh no.
Yeah,
'Cause you
I
have-
believe a photographer's coming out next week, and I believe a photo will be in the magazine, but the editorial process is out of my control.
course,
So, we're doing our best. The world is chaotic, but
Sure.
yeah.
So it's all in the makings. Thanks so much for joining us. Thank you, Alice. We will, I'll see you in more videos.
Thanks for having me.
amazing. So, guys, here's what's happening with court. They were supposed to be back at 4:15. We are live. I guess they've gotten rid of the lunch music because they're expecting it to come back. So they're like 20 minutes late. No. So anywho, there you go. Any moment now. Don't necessarily want to get into another video though, because I feel like they should be back any second. So let me just see here. I have an idea. Remember, when they come back, they're going to be discussing the recent filings, and then they're going to be playing that 911 or not 911. Oh my God, the insurance phone call. So, okay, so hold on. Let me do this. I still have this on in the background, right, for if they come back. We're going to watch Gabby.
Next, in the 8-inch class, Gabby, the Papillon, handled by Andrea Samuels from Cape Coral, Florida.
And Andrea is also the handler of Fortune. So these are two dogs, same breed, same handler, duking it out here head to head right at the end of the class.
And this dog is also a national agility champion. Look at her drive
Yeah,
that dog
I
walk.
think we can see why.
Spectacular. That was absolutely spectacular. Same thing with these weave poles.
Champion.
We can't hear Andrea at all, but she is definitely talking to her while they're running this. Wow. That was spectacular. Absolutely breathtaking. Now you see why they're national champions.
So much.
Watch this dog. This dog just keeps accelerating.
That's not sped up video. That is real time.
Sure feels like they sped it up, but that is not what happened. And watch these weave poles.
Look at her.
She really hunkers down a bit going through them and just drives through those poles.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Andrea is saying a lot to her while
just so cute. Like
Andrea Samuels
One
from
person
Cape
face.
Coral, Florida.
Watch your little face.
And Andrea is also the handler of Fortune. So
I mean,
these are
it's just
two dogs, same breed, same handler.
It's just too much for me. It's just too much for me.
Duking it out here head to head.
Here we go.
Right at the end of the class.
and this dog is also a national agility champion. Look at her drive
Yeah,
that dog walk.
I think we can see why.
Spectacular. That was absolutely spectacular. Same thing with these weave poles. We can't hear Andrea at all, but she is definitely talking to
I
her
love how she's like not heavy enough to do the teeter totter.
while they're running this. Wow. That was spectacular. Absolutely breathtaking.
You're saying quartz back, Twiz? Is that what you're saying? It's not back. If that's what you were saying. It's not back.
Now you see why they're national champions. Watch this dog. This dog just keeps accelerating.
That's not sped up video. That is real time.
Sure feels like they sped it up, but that is not what happened. And watch this weave pole. She really hunkers down a bit going through them and just drives through those poles.
So the other dogs time, so this is all the winners for each class. So I don't know what the other dogs times for her same class were, but she was the winner for her size class. And then it goes through the different winners for each, again, what the top winner for each class it shows. So so I don't know, but I'm sure she slaughtered their times. So that is Gabby just being amazing. That's awful. I hate that. So yeah, they're still not back yet, guys. I don't know what is going on. I mean, are they going to be arguing these motions without us? I mean, the jury should have been back by now anyway. Because yeah, weird. What is going on? What is going on? Okay, let's see what else we got. I got a bunch of long videos, but I don't want to start. Misty wasn't. Yeah. Oh, that's so cute. So the next one actually is a Shetland. Here, we'll watch that one for you there, Gwennon. Here, check it out. The next class up, it's a Shetland.
Andrea is saying a lot to her while they're out there running, but a lot of her body language.
In the 12-inch class, Swindle, the Shetland sheepdog,
There you go.
handled by Abigail Beasley of Centerburg, Ohio.
Swindle, whose registered name is Run Like You Stole It.
And they do. That's how they run. Abby and Swindle are multiple AKC World Team members. They've traveled to Europe multiple times to represent the American Kennel Club at Agility World Championships. And they will always give it their all on these courses. We'll probably see Swindle talk about it some too. So off they go. And Abby is way ahead of her on this dog walk and got all that speed out of that walk with her. Again, she's going to keep pushing past these weave poles to keep driving Swindle as fast as the line as she can get her on. Look at that nice cross that they did. Abby is leaving nothing to chance here. She has made it every place she needed to be.
And a huge roar as Swindle goes into the lead.
That's so cute.
The crowd loves it.
Oh.
And Abby obviously loves it.
Oh, good girl.
Look at Swindle going through there. Tunnels are always fun, and Swindle accelerated right into that one.
But can she hold off our fastest qualifier in this class, who's going to be the last to go?
Next, in the 16-inch class, Vanish, the Border Collie, handled by Emily
One thing
Clark.
I will just note is of all the dogs, Gabby was maybe the most excited and no barking.
Of Doylestown, Pennsylvania.
So you said B and Vanish are teammates at international competition level, and now they're dueling it out here for this win at Westminster?
Yes, they are. In fact, they've dueled it out at a few different big national events over the last year. And you'll get a chance to see why as Vanish comes out of
They don't look as fast, right? Like it looks slower because the legs are moving slower.
this tunnel and takes off. Look at that dog walk.
On,
Another amazing one. And they were right on cue coming through there. Emily's going to get out a little bit in front so she makes sure she's driving through there.
1/100th of a second at the split.
I mean, advantage with the
Got to
teeter
put you
totter.
through this finish. That teeter was a smidge slower.
And Vanish do it. Can she ever?
That's 26:49. So Gabby's time. Oh my God, look at how cute. Oh my God.
This dog just keeps accelerating.
That's not sped up video. That is real time.
Sure feels like they sped it up, but that is not what happened. And
You got to go back to get her time. So 30:05, and then Vanish. So that's your mid class 26.49. Pretty crazy, right? It's like not.
Vanish do it. Can she ever?
I love the dog things. I love all the dog things. You know, where they're doing all their things that they're good at. It's so cute. Like I definitely prefer the agility over like the ones where they just stand there and rate their coat or whatever. Although anything a dog does is amazing. So, but yeah.
Accelerates onto that dog walk. She is all go at that point.
Look at those leaps with those legs, though. That's wild.
And of course, the weave
Now
flows.
that shit must be a lot harder for big.
They're just a joy for her.
Half a second faster than her international teammate B.
Shelby Cobra, the Border Collie, handled by Emmer McCune of Newington, New Hampshire.
So it's fascinating here. Shelby Cobra was originally going to run fourth, but Amber, like we've seen a couple other handlers, has two dogs that are running in this class. So they're having Shelby Cobra go first to give Amber enough time to basically recover physically to get both dogs out there, because it is draining for the handler with as fast as these dogs are.
Absolutely. Watch this team. You'll see why she's going to need a little break. Shelby Cobra's a fabulous dog.
I mean, that's so silly.
They're very, very solid with their communication through here. Amber's out there talking to her all the way. She also does a lot of hand motions as needed going through.
Yeah. Wow.
Great job stopping coming down that A-frame just in case. You can just hear her pounding her way down.
I mean, Shelby was getting air, just flying on those jumps.
So look at this dog. This dog wants a tug toy, not food. Look at that dog walk. But she did put a quick stop in to make sure they got it.
It's still not bad, guys.
Good quick release on that. We've pulsed solid, just absolutely solid.
So this is a good way to spend the time while we're waiting. Okay, next up, look, we got a big one here. The 24-inch class.
Weimaraner, handled by Lori Barbie of Huntington Beach, California.
Sterling's registered name is Atomic Number 47, which, if you can guess, that's the atomic number for silver.
Well, we don't see a lot of Weimaraners in agility. They're very large dogs, so it makes it a little bit more difficult for them. But they're also bred to hunt, and that's what they like to do. Lori's worked very hard with Sterling, and they are an amazing, amazing top team in the country over and over again. So let's see how they get through this course.
Was that Lori just trying to calm Sterling down before the run?
Just trying to make sure they're on the same page. Because as you can see, again, this is a hunting dog. This dog is bred to run out large distances. So she's got to keep them a little bit in check, but also get this course done.
Had a huge edge at the split.
Wow.
And off they go. Watch this teeter as they go across it. Sterling just bangs it and says, I'm going to hang on.
Right. They do have to be
Oh!
Oh, no.
my
What
goodness.
a bummer.
But still fast enough.
That's
Oh my God, when that dog stands on its hind legs, it's as tall as the person. I've seen Best in Show not in a long time though. They are so smart, and I totally agree. As long as they're having fun.
Amazing. Again, this
My mom has a
dog is
border collie.
extremely fast. That's
Oops, sorry.
very unusual to see a mistake like that from this team. And that just shows, even though it looks like something is right in front of the dog, my apologies.
To our award ceremony.
Just kidding. That's the biggest size. So this is the award ceremony.
I am joined by the president and show chairman of the Westminster Kennel Club, Don Sears, as well as Paul Campanella.
I mean, I'd rather look at the dogs. By the way, Court is still not back yet. Oh my God, look how cute.
The Papillon, handled by Andrea Samuels from Cape Coral,
Oh my
Florida.
God, her ears though. Her ears.
And Andrea is also the handler of Fortune. So these are two dogs, same breed, same handler, duking it out here head to head right at the end of the class.
And this dog is also a national agility champion. Look at her drive that dog walk.
I think we can see why.
Spectacular. That was absolutely spectacular. Same thing with these weed poles.
Y'all move so fast. It is insane. Oh, Court. Perfect timing.
001
Perfect timing.
704.
We have Gabby to thank for that because I was commenting on her fast legs.
State's present, the defendant and her team are present. The jury is not present.
What the fuck happened at lunch? Did they take lunch
Who's the
and dinner?
defendant- or who's the state?
Let Gabby finish. You got it. We'll let Gabby finish. You don't have to ask me twice. All right. Let's just watch it from the beginning because she deserves it. Oh my God, her little face though.
Handler of Fortune. So these are two dogs, same breed, same handler, duking it out here head to head right at the end of the class.
And this dog is also a national agility champion. Look at her drive that dog walk.
I think we can see why.
Spectacular. That was absolutely spectacular. Same thing with these weed poles.
Wow. Oh my God.
We can't hear Andrea at all, but she is definitely talking to her while they're running this. Wow. That was spectacular. Absolutely breathtaking. Now you see why they're national champions. Watch this dog. This dog just keeps accelerating.
That's not sped up video. That is real time.
I love that so much. That isn't sped up video. That is real time. Oh my God. Isn't she amazing?
Feels like they sped it up, but that is not what happened. And watch these weed poles. She really hunkers down a bit going through them and just
her form is impeccable.
Drives through those poles. Andrea's saying
so cute.
A lot to her while they're out there.
Boing. Yeah, I love her so much. Okay, so now we'll go back to Court. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I know I always enjoy it. I think you guys do too. It just puts a huge smile on your face, doesn't it? The dog energy.
Calling this afternoon.
Love it.
After we're finished with this witness, we have Jeff Moberg and then
So they did not let us hear the motions argument, it sounds like.
Cassandra and Clan.
Are you able to estimate yet when you think you're likely to conclude your case in chief?
I think likely Thursday.
Oh, wow.
So we are moving at a fairly quick rate. Let's talk about these motions. One of them may be relevant this afternoon. The motion in limine regarding the questioning of police. Has the defendant have a chance to review
Never
that
mind.
motion?
I did get a chance to review it, Your Honor.
Can you
but-
pull the microphone down?
Okay, we are
I did get
getting
a
here.
chance to review it. I did not get an opportunity to discuss it with my advisory team. We
By
were-
the way, again, there's Colby. You can see where I'm circling here. There's the back of Colby's head. attending every day?
Were able to have like a 30-second discussion right before we came in. So
How? It was like a 50 million hour long lunch, Lori. You had 20 whole delicious lunches. No excuses.
I would like to have an opportunity to do
Well,
that before I have
I think you said Mr. Did you say Mr. Moffat's testifying this afternoon?
No.
Oh, you didn't say.
Moberg.
Moberg,
Yeah,
sorry.
sorry, no.
Can I see the witnesses? Witnesses.
So theoretically, she could, if we get to
That's
cross
funny.
of Detective Cassandra in plan, that could become potentially an issue there. I don't know. I only put.
Oh, I guess here's the issue is, I don't know to what extent you might have intended on crossing police officers about
Frankly, my dear,
why you weren't
don't give a
arrested
damn.
that day, or why your brother wasn't arrested that day, or why it took however long for charges to be submitted, or those types of things. Were those things you
So
were
dumb. Don't
planning
go
on
that route.
questioning anyone about?
not exactly in those terms.
Oh God. Oh
In
God.
what terms then?
Asking those specific questions, those were not on my list. However, it will
Oh,
become apparent that we were not arrested that day. So I don't foresee it being a problem. I'm not
Lori?
trying to
I think that the timing,
go into detail on that.
the timing of what was happening, how the investigation unfolded as far as timing, who was charged, who wasn't charged, would not
No relevance.
be relevant.
Yes, thank
And
you.
think that's
I
what
just
the
said
state's
that. No relevance.
motion is toward, because I think one of the first witnesses in the case, there was a question about why you or your brother weren't arrested that day, which again isn't relevant because it gets, if you
Doesn't pass.
go down that path, you could
Come on,
foreseeably
guys.
open a door into
401.
there's a lot of reasons why the investigation probably
And then he mentions my favorite D word, door.
took quite a while, that the jury doesn't really need to know about, nor is it relevant for them to determine what did or didn't happen on that particular day that you've been charged with. But I'm just kind of giving you a heads up that I don't think it's relevant. If you think it's relevant and we get to cross of this witness today, and you think you have a question regarding the timing, or who was or wasn't arrested, ask if we can take a break, all right?
Okay, sure.
Lori?
Then we have, well, let me ask the defendant this. You've subpoenaed Robert Bobby Vallow, apparently was sent that subpoena or served that subpoena
Okay.
for
So she's the one that sent the subpoena to, I believe that's Charles's brother. She's the one that sent the subpoena, not the state. Oh dear. What the
a
fuck?
date that's already passed.
Oh God.
Is this, again, someone that you believe has relevant information to your case?
No, Your Honor, that
No
was
one's
just
on the stand right now. They just got back from lunch. They're like way late, and they're now just discussing the different motions that were filed over the weekend. So nobody's on this. Well, somebody was on the stand before lunch, and that was the lady from the life insurance place. And where they broke for lunch was literally right before they were about to fucking play the phone call where Lori calls the life insurance place, which apparently is quite long because they had to break for lunch, and that's what we're waiting on. But then they were like, well, we have to talk about these motions that were filed or whatever. But they came back like 5 billion hours late, and they just got started with this. So you've not missed any of the life insurance call. That will be happening when the witness resumes the stand.
just an oversight. That was a mix-up of clerical error. So we apologize to him or his family or any distress that caused. That was mixed up with an exhibit. His name was mixed up with an exhibit. It's very difficult on the phone at the jail when they cut me off every 20 minutes.
Not an
and sometimes
attorney. It'd be
the
easier.
notifications that get to my paralegal and my investigator do not come through clearly.
All right. The court will find that that subpoena, first of all, wasn't effective in the way that it was served out of state on an out-of-state witness.
Mhm,
It sounds like the defendant's withdrawing that subpoena. Can we say that?
Absolutely, you can crush it.
Oh,
So that one's
oh, she learned the word.
withdrawn. Are there
squash.
other?
That's good. Good for her.
Your Honor, I know you filed the state's email. I did have attachments of that on there. If
welcome,
those
Abby.
are part of the record, can we seal that as well? Because obviously it still has Bobby Vallow's information.
I've only sealed your email, and I've
They don't want
sealed
his phone number and
the
address and shit.
actual
Yeah.
2 subpoenas that we discussed this morning.
Thank you.
Was there another, Mr. Boudreau was served with a subpoena for this case, is that correct?
That is my understanding, Your Honor.
All right.
Those subpoenas were sent out from OPDS. We turned them into OPDS before you struck that witness, Your Honor. So
Okay, so that subpoena is effectively quashed, and as I said, that one would be filed under seal as well. Then we have Let me just check the time here, 1:23.
Yeah, you're only a
Motion
bazillion
will
hours
be regarding
late,
the
dude.
testimony of the video observed by Janet.
Glenn, I'm with you. I'm totally with you. I know that there was a problem. I don't even remember what the problem was. I know I feel you on that. I grew up with that movie. It's great music. Do 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 and all the horses. Dude, anything with horses, I'm just gonna melt thinking about it. So let me just not go there. Horse brain. But yeah, and yeah, same here. Same here.
Dennis Cox and Summer Shiflet. Have you had a chance to review that and discuss it?
I haven't had a chance to discuss that with advisory council.
Summer
And I would like the
Shiflet.
opportunity to do that, Your Honor.
All right, that's fine. I don't think that's imminent for today.
No.
And then I think we can also take up the state's third motion to preclude later today or sometime tomorrow.
I can't believe they came back so late.
Is your next, let's have the witness come back in.
Yeah,
I think
get
all
the
our
witness.
jurors are present, so we can start a few minutes early.
Early? Are they confused? What's happening? Or did they think that did they get the hours confused? I don't know. Like, why must have got the hours confused. Okay. Well, this shouldn't be a
Let me
long
ask
one.
my staff, they reprogram those headsets? All right, so.
All right.
Took our
Here we
break
go, guys. Ready.
for lunch.
Ready.
We had just admitted exhibit 215, I believe.
Yes.
And
Yes.
inside this contained
Okay.
the beneficiary designation form
Fuck yeah.
that was filled out
my
by
God.
Mr. Vallow. Oops. Wait till we get our
Don't wait.
Elmo up.
Oh, let's wait for the Elmo. Oh my God. We've not heard this. This is new.
Correct. This is the form that we were discussing from the February 26th beneficiary change.
Yes, that's correct.
So
Oh,
we
I
see
love that
that
name.
it's signed and notarized.
Correct.
And what this then shows is the primary beneficiary is now Ethel K. Woodcock.
Yes.
And then were there also contingent beneficiaries?
Yes, there were.
What are contingent beneficiaries?
Contingent beneficiaries are listed in the event the insured passes away and the primary beneficiary had predeceased the insured, meaning passing away before the insured. Since the primary beneficiary was no longer living, it would then drop to the contingent beneficiaries to receive the death benefit.
Okay. So if Kay Woodcock had not been around when Charles passed, then it would have gone to Nicholas Charles Vallow and Zachary Chase Vallow.
That's correct.
Lori's not on the list at all.
When a primary beneficiary or a contingent beneficiary is removed from someone's life insurance policy, does Banner Life Insurance call that person up and let them know, hey, letting you know you're not the primary beneficiary
no,
anymore?
no.
Why not?
They don't
They're
want
not the policy owner,
they don't want anyone to get murdered.
so they would not be entitled to that information.
So again, the policy owner is the person who can do whatever they want with the policy.
Correct.
On July 15th of 2019, did Lori Ann Vallow call Banner Life Insurance to make a death claim?
Yes.
And was that call recorded?
Yes, it was.
And is that the audio that you listened to before we took our break for lunch?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, if I may publish this?
Okay, guys, let's go.
And again, that's just something that's the normal course of business that Banner Life records all of those people.
All of
calling
our
in.
calls are recorded, yes.
Oh my God.
Claims Department, this is Robin.
Oh my
May I
God.
have the policy number? Sure. Claims? Yes. Okay, one moment, please. May I have the name of the insured? L. Charles Vallow. And who am I speaking with? This is Lori Vallow. And your relationship to the insured? He's my husband. Okay, one moment. Okay, ma'am, I'm just going to need to ask you a few questions so that I can open the claim, and then I can go over the claim procedure with you and answer any questions that you may have afterwards. That would be great. Okay, first of all, may I have your daytime phone number, please? Sure, it's 8. And what was the date of Mr. Vallow's passing? July 11th. And what was the cause of his passing?
Oh boy.
Oh
boy.
Well, he was shot.
Oh God.
Okay, so I don't know how I want to put that. Okay, all right. And I hate to ask, but is it?
Yeah,
you
I
can
don't-
just say yes or no.
Lord.
Was it a homicide? No, it was an accident. An accident. Okay. Okay. And what state did he pass away in? Arizona.
Like I said, guys, even if the beneficiary hadn't been changed and she answers these questions, they're going to investigate before paying this out. And when it's determined that it was not fucking an accident, it was anything other than natural, they're not paying that out. Like, there's no way she could have gotten it anyway, but clearly she's dumb. So
For one moment, I just need to pull up a few other things. Okay. Are you aware of who the primary beneficiary of the policy is?
Oh God.
It's me. Okay. And may I have your I'm sorry, one moment. My computer just went away for a second. Okay. And may I have your current mailing address? Sure. It's 55.
I know. And you know what? The thing is that I don't think that is standard procedure to ask because they have that information. I wouldn't be surprised, and I will imagine there's going to be questions about this, guys. Mark my words. I would imagine that is not standard procedure because they have that information, right? Because remember, the policy holder designates the beneficiary. They can change it whenever, and they don't notify the person. So the correct information for the beneficiary would be whatever this lady has. It wouldn't be the person calling, because the person calling is not the source that you go to for that, right? I wouldn't be surprised if she's asking that question only because Lori said he got shot, and now that's part of it because it could become part of a criminal and for fraud, insurance fraud. Like, that's not a question you would ask unless there's extenuating circumstances. I would imagine it'll be interesting to see if there's questions about that, but I would expect it to happen. So, redactions.
$5249. Okay, ma'am. That is all the information I need to open the claim. What we will do now is review the policy and the file to confirm the beneficiary information and determine the claim requirements that we will need to settle this particular claim.
I guarantee you she can already see all that.
Once we have completed our review, we will prepare a claim packet to send to the named beneficiary once that has been confirmed. And the claim packet can either be mailed or emailed.
And here's the thing. The other thing I will say is I guarantee you they're told not to tell the person that it's been changed. because guess what? People kill over this shit all the fucking time. And I guarantee you that's part of the policy. And that's why she's not giving any information. She's like, we'll look into it. She can already see all this. I guarantee you. And they're not going to name that. They're not going to say anything about Kay for her safety.
Fax. How would you like to receive a correspondence? Email would be great. Okay, and what is your email address? It's Lori, Lori. Okay. All right. So you should receive an email from our office within the next 3 to 5 business days or sooner. It will have the instructions listed. Once you receive the information, if you
That's
have any
what I figured.
questions whatsoever, please don't
Like
hesitate
once she gets that policy number, she can see the whole thing. I mean, that's my understanding.
to give our office a call, and then we can go from there. Okay. Is there anything I can help you with at this time? That's it, I think. Okay, ma'am. Well, I'm very sorry for your loss. You take care of yourself. Thank you. Okay.
Oh, boy.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
All right, so we hear in Exhibit 215, that's yourself speaking with Ms. Vallow?
Yes.
And we hear her, you ask her if she knew who the primary beneficiary was, correct?
Yes.
And who did she advise was the primary beneficiary?
Herself.
We also hear you ask about sort of the cause of death for Charles Vallow, correct?
Yes.
And you asked when there was a pause if it could be, well, after she told you he was shot, right?
Yes.
Did you need to know sort of, was it a suicide? Was it a homicide? Was it a?
Correct. Yes.
And so did you follow up by asking her if it was a homicide?
Yes.
And she advised you it was an accident.
Correct.
You got a phone number from her, the 808-755-5452 number?
Yes.
And her email address, the Lori for Style at iCloud account?
Yes.
And then you had verified with her that she wanted to receive any correspondence by email, correct?
Correct. Yes.
And in fact, did you advise her that the named beneficiary would receive information via email then?
Correct.
Is it normal when you have someone call in to make a death claim to wait and look up things before you let them know?
Yes, that is our standard procedure.
Okay, so you weren't doing anything weird there. That's just what you guys have to
No.
do. So what does Banner Life do to verify that that person that Lori Vallow was the beneficiary?
We review everything on the policy file in the system, as well as any paper document that has come through, such as an ownership change, beneficiary change, anything of that nature during the entire life of the policy since it was issued, to confirm that information, to make sure that we are providing the information to the appropriate party.
Did you in this call know at some point that there was perhaps something incorrect about her being the beneficiary?
Not during the call.
Did you look up afterwards?
Yes.
When somebody calls in to notify that there's been a death and try to get the policy payout, what would normally be required? Do they just have to call in and then you send them a check if their name's on there?
No. We review each policy to determine the claim requirements for that specific claim. They can vary from claim to claim, depending on, the situation with that particular policy. That is why we do prepare a claim packet specific for each claim that has been reported. We provide a packet of information with a cover letter that lists the claim requirements that are needed. And the two things that are always going to be required is our specific claim form that we provide for the beneficiary to complete, as well as a death certificate, which states both cause and manner of death.
Okay. So after Lori Vallow calls saying she's the primary beneficiary of that life insurance policy for her husband, Charles Vallow, did Banner Life Insurance actually determine that she was not the primary beneficiary?
That's correct.
So now that you know she's not the primary beneficiary, how did you notify her of that?
I believe there was a letter that was submitted to her via email as she requested correspondence to be delivered to her in that aspect.
So would the letter tell her who was the primary beneficiary?
No,
Would the letter have told her when that was changed?
no,
It just advised her, would have advised her that she was not the primary beneficiary. Would Banner Life ever tell anyone who the new beneficiary is?
no.
Why not?
We can't release that information. That's personal and private information.
And that's something that just the policy owner has the right to determine.
Correct.
So was an email sent to Lori Vallow on July 18th of 2019 to advise her that she was not the beneficiary?
Yes.
And did she call back to speak with you about the issue?
Yes.
And was there sort of a back and forth of phone tag before you were able to finally speak with her?
Yes, I believe she left a voicemail for me as I was unavailable. I returned her call and I believe I had to leave her a voicemail, and then she did call me back and we were able to connect at that point.
Okay. Aaron, if I can have my paralegal approach with exhibit 280.
Oh my God, we get another call? You've got to be kidding me. Is it Christmas?
And if you can listen to that and see if you recognize.
Claims Department, this is Robin. May I have the policy number? Sure. Okay, I do have the policy pulled up. Who am I speaking with? This is Lori Vallow. I'm returning your call. Yeah. I missed you. Okay, no problem. Let me just get all of this information. Okay, so in your voicemail, you stated that you had something that stated you are the beneficiary of the policy? Right, so I have the original policy where I was the beneficiary, the sole beneficiary, and then we changed the policy to where I was 80% and we added two people, the coaches who invested in our company for each 10%. And that's the last one I have. That's the last update that I have. So can you tell me when that was changed again? I mean, I know my husband is the agent on record, so he can change it. He's the owner. Okay, I don't see anything regarding the second change that you said. I don't, and with those percentages, I don't see anything at all with you as 80% at any time. Okay, so maybe that's something he just told him he was going to do. That's just a handwritten copy I have that I found. So. Okay, so well, I really can't give too much information, but I can tell you that the beneficiary was changed in March of this year. Okay. Okay, I'm trying to figure out what he was doing since we have 5 kids and we've been married for 15 years. Oh, I'm sorry. So I know he owes a lot of people money, and I was worried if I got money, they'd be coming after me for money. Right, no, I understand that. But now I will be with none. So, but did he change it to one person or was it several people? Unfortunately, I can't release that. I'm sorry. Okay. No, I know you can't tell. We're in the business. My husband is the agent. He's the agent, so. Got it. Okay. We deal with this business all the time, so I kind of know how it works, but I'm completely surprised. Right. We have our 7-year-old with autism that we adopted together, so I am surprised that he would do that without telling me. I'm so sorry. So I mean, there's nothing you can do about that, even though it's community
No.
property. I mean, it's his
No,
property.
this
He
is a
owns it.
contract that we have with the insured, exactly. So he's able to make any changes, during the lifetime of the policy.
Well, can I check? I mean, I have a policy, a $2 million policy on me. And since he's the agent, would he have been able to change the beneficiary on my policy?
Not if
Do
he
you
was
know
the
that?
agent, he would have had to have owned the policy, but I can certainly, check.
But if he
Let
would
me-
have signed my name, could he have done that? I wonder.
I mean, I don't, I would hope that wouldn't happen, but let me just pull up, okay, let me just take a look and see what I can find on you.
It's under Lori Vallow. It would be under Lori in Vallow. We have a $2 million policy on me, but I'm not even sure it's with Banner Life.
I'm not showing that it's with us.
Okay, it
yeah.
might be Life of the Southwest. We work with several companies. but
Right.
I could call them and ask, I'm just asking the question, like, I could call them and ask them and make sure the beneficiary is who I say. I mean,
Yeah, I
it
mean,
was
I
him,
would. I mean, if
so-
you have a concern of that nature, I certainly would call and check on your own policies if you have concern
Right.
if something may have happened.
Well, and I would have to change it anyway because he was the beneficiary as far as
Correct,
I know on
yeah.
my policy.
Right. So you would definitely want to update that at this point. And,
Because what happens, like if something happened to me, say today, and it's under him and he's deceased, what happens to that policy?
Well, if there's not every contract's different, but I mean, more than likely, if there was not a contingent beneficiary named, it would go to your estate.
To their state.
Yeah. But if there's a contingent beneficiary name, then it would go to that person.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Well, thank you. I just needed that information.
Okay, no, not a problem. All right, you take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
So in this call, we hear yourself again with Miss Vallow.
Yes.
And we hear her telling you that her husband left her with 5 kids to care for, right?
Yes.
And she told you that she understands how life insurance works, right?
Correct.
That she and her husband run this business about it, right?
Yes.
But then she asks you if an agent would be able to change who the beneficiary was.
Correct.
So she didn't really understand it.
I felt that she did not understand it fully.
And again, she told you she understood how this all worked, but then she asked you what would happen if she died. At this point, who would get, her money since her husband had been her beneficiary.
Yes, she did.
So you had to advise her of the fact that if there were contingent beneficiaries, they would get it.
Yes.
Ultimately, did Banner Life Insurance have any insurance policy with Lori Vallow?
No, she did not hold any coverage under Banner Life.
When she was talking to you, at one point she asked you or said, there's nothing you can do about that, right?
Correct.
And there's nothing you can do to change that. That is something that the owner is able to do.
Correct. We could not make any changes.
Regardless of if you feel bad for someone.
Exactly.
Is it awkward for you when you have to talk to someone who thinks that they were the beneficiary and learns they're not?
It can be, yes.
Was that your last interaction with Lori Vallow?
To my recollection, yes.
Who did Banner Life Insurance Company ultimately pay the $1 million policy to?
To Mr. Vallow's sister, Kay Woodcock.
And before the insurance company, before Banner Life would pay that out to Kay Woodcock, did you actually have to call and verify with the police that she was not involved in the homicide or the murder of Charles Vallow?
Yes, that's correct.
I have no other questions for this witness.
Cross.
No questions, Your Honor.
Excuse me.
No questions.
All right. Are there any
Wow.
questions for this witness from any member of the jury? I don't see any. You can step down. Thank you.
Wow, guys.
State can call its next witness.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's imaginary, Gwen. The 5 kids are in her imagination. So true, Candace. So they're getting the next witness, I guess, taking forever. Well, it's just Colby. It's just Colby, Tylee, and JJ.
All right, sir, come on right up here and right in front here and be sworn in.
Jeff! That's just 3 kids, though.
And nothing but the truth, so help you God.
All right, you're gonna have a seat. Just walk right.
Oh, you could be right, Candace. She's probably lumping in Charles's kids. I bet you're right. Guys, this is probably going to be a long witness because this is the tool marks analysis dude. Wow, look at him. This is the tool marks analysis dude. And they actually brought his name up in terms of the different motions that they were just discussing. So we're going to save this for part 2, which will be tonight. We're after lunch, so he might even finish out the day. So that will be it for this one. I'm going to go get ready for some lessons, and we will be back later on with the rest of this. And tomorrow we will have Karen read opening statements. So, wow, that was a lot. Lori was smart not to cross-examine that witness. She hasn't done a lot of smart things, but that was one of them. Definitely the side-eyeing was there for real. Would not have gone well for her, for sure. So, you're very welcome, Gwen. Tell the kids to practice themselves. I know. Hopefully they're practicing anyway, right? You're very welcome, guys. So y'all are awesome. Love y'all so much. We will be back together soon. And as always, thanks for being here and being an awesome squirrel. But until next time, squirrel out.